The demons came to Gotham on a Tuesday night, which was almost considerate timing. Tuesdays were typically slower for violent interdimensional incursions. They tore through reality in Crime Alley, the same blood-stained pavement where a young Bruce Wayne had watched his world end, and they brought with them the stench of sulfur and screaming that hell reserves for its finest invasions. The possessed and the damned poured through a rift that pulsed with sickly green light, their forms twisted amalgamations of meat and malice that would have sent Gotham's hardened criminals running. Most of the city's usual predators did exactly that. The demons weren't interested in mugging or territory disputes. They were interested in souls, and Crime Alley had plenty of those to harvest. Then he arrived. The figure that stepped through the hell portal behind the demon vanguard was silent, armored in green and bronze that seemed forged from some apocalyptic future, and he carried a weapon that looked like it could crack open planets. The demons turned, recognizing him with the instinctive terror that prey feels when the apex predator enters the hunting ground. They had followed this one through countless dimensions, through the very architecture of hell itself, and they had learned one absolute truth. You cannot escape him. You can only die. The first demon lunged, a towering brute with horns like twisted iron and claws that dripped acid. The armored warrior didn't dodge. He caught the demon by its skull with one gauntleted hand and, without ceremony or hesitation, crushed it like overripe fruit. Or the crack of bone echoed through Crime Alley louder than any gunshot. The demon's body crumpled, and something happened then that would later require extensive study by everyone from Zatanna to Dr. Fate. A crimson energy flowed from the demon's corpse into the warrior's armor, absorbed like water into desert sand. The Praetor suit's lights pulsed brighter. The warrior grew stronger. Then the slaughter began in earnest. From his perch 3 rooftops away, Batman watched through his cowl's enhanced lenses and saw something he hadn't witnessed in 20 years of fighting Gotham's darkness. Perfect, methodical, unstoppable violence. The armored figure moved through the demon horde like a force of nature given human shape. A massive double-barreled shotgun appeared in his hands, where it had been stored. Batman couldn't determine, and the blast vaporized 3 demons simultaneously. The warrior reloaded with a mechanical snap that sounded almost casual, took 2 steps forward, and fired again. Demon blood painted the alley walls in arterial sprays. The figure switched weapons mid-stride, producing what looked like a plasma rifle that Batman's threat analysis systems immediately flagged as technology beyond current Earth capabilities. The weapon sang, a deep thrumming note, and demons simply ceased to exist where the projectile struck. But it was the close-quarters work that truly caught Batman's attention. When the demons swarmed, trying to overwhelm through numbers, the warrior put away his guns and used his hands. He grabbed a demon by its arm, twisted, and the limb came away with a wet, tearing sound. Or he used the severed appendage as a club to cave in another demon's skull, then discarded it to drive his gauntleted fist through a third demon's torso. The armor's strength was immense, Superman level, or close to it. But what disturbed Batman more was the practiced efficiency. This wasn't rage or madness. This was a professional at work. Someone who had killed so many demons that it had become muscle memory refined to art. The horde broke. Demons that had terrorized mortal souls for eons turned and fled, scrambling back toward the dimensional rift. The warrior wouldn't allow it. He produced a blade, energy crackling along its length like bottled lightning, and cut them down as they ran. One demon managed to get halfway through the portal before the blade bisected it. The 2 halves tumbling in opposite directions across dimensional boundaries. When the last demon fell, its death energy absorbed into the Praetor suit like all the others, the warrior stood in the center of Crime Alley surrounded by ichor and ruined flesh, breathing steadily, utterly silent. The hell portal flickered, unstable, without the demons to maintain it. Batman watched the warrior turn toward it, raising that energy blade. The threat assessment identified it as generating power comparable to a mother box, and drive it into the rift itself. Reality screamed. The portal collapsed inward, folding space-time with a sound like the universe breaking and then forced back together. When the light faded and Batman's vision cleared, the rift was gone. So was the dimensional instability. The warrior had sealed it with what appeared to be pure force of will and advanced technology Batman couldn't immediately analyze. Then, finally, the warrior looked up. Directly at Batman's position, the Cowl's stealth systems were the most advanced on Earth, calibrated to fool even Superman's enhanced senses. The warrior shouldn't have been able to pinpoint Batman's location through active camouflage, thermal dampening, and 300 meters of Gotham smog. But those eyes, visible through the helmet's visor as points of cold, assessing green light, locked onto Batman's exact position without hesitation. The warrior didn't speak, didn't gesture, simply stared, and in that gaze Batman recognized something he'd seen in his own mirror for 2 decades. Someone who had stared into an abyss so deep that staring back was the only option left. While Batman didn't move, didn't activate any weapons or call for backup, though his finger rested near the comm link that would summon the Justice League. Some instinct, honed through years of reading threats, told him that attacking this warrior would end very badly for whoever made the first move. The two of them remained locked in silent assessment for 5 seconds that felt like an hour. Then the warrior turned away, walking deeper into Gotham with the measured stride of someone who had walked through far worse than urban decay. Batman watched him go, already activating every surveillance system in his network, already running threat profiles, already knowing that whatever had just arrived in his city was going to change everything. Because in 20 years of fighting gods and monsters, Batman had learned to recognize certain truths. And one truth was absolute. When something crawls out of hell wearing armor that's sophisticated, carrying weapons that advanced, and killing demons with that much practiced expertise, it isn't arriving by accident. It's arriving because something far worse is coming behind it. If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them in down in the comments below. Hope shines brightest in the darkest night. Batman descended from the rooftop, boots silent on rain-slicked fire escapes, moving toward Crime Alley's killing floor. He needed samples. He needed data. Most importantly, he needed to understand what had just happened before it happened again. The Bat computer would analyze the demon remains. He'd cross-reference the dimensional signature, identify the armor's technological origin. Alfred was already prepping the forensics lab, responding to the bio-threat alerts Batman's systems had automatically transmitted. Gotham had seen invasions before. Demons, aliens, and interdimensional nightmares were almost routine in a world where gods walked among men. But this was different. This warrior didn't fight like a hero trying to protect people. He fought like a man with a single purpose, refined across countless battles into something approaching religious devotion. Demons exist, therefore demons must die. No speeches, no mercy, no hesitation. Batman knew that kind of absolutism. He'd built his entire identity around it. But even he had rules, lines he wouldn't cross, humanity he fought to preserve. You were looking at the carnage spread across Crime Alley, the methodical, efficient destruction. Batman wasn't certain this warrior had any lines left at all. He reached the largest demon corpse, kneeling to examine the wounds. Clean cuts from the energy blade, precise shots from the plasma weapon, and Batman's jaw tightened. The crushing damage from bare hands that suggested strength rivaling Wonder Woman. The demon's biology was already destabilizing, flesh breaking down at an accelerated rate. Another anomaly. Batman collected samples anyway, sealing them in specialized containers. A sound. Footsteps. Batman's hand moved to his utility belt, but he didn't draw a weapon. He'd heard those particular footsteps before, usually accompanied by cigarette smoke and the kind of cynical British accent that suggested someone who'd seen hell and came back unimpressed. "Bloody hell," John Constantine said, stepping into the alley with his hands in his trench coat pockets and a lit cigarette dangling from his lips. "And I mean that literally. You saw him then?" "You know what this is," Batman said. Not a question. Constantine took a long drag, exhaled smoke that seemed to writhe with its own awareness before dissipating. His eyes scanned the demon remains, with the practiced assessment of someone who'd banished more demons than most people had met humans. "Yeah, mate, I know what this is. This is the kind of problem that makes my problems look like bloody paper cuts." "Explain." "The demons were running," Constantine said. "I'm crouching beside a demon corpse that was missing most of its upper body. Not invading, running, from him." You know how many things can make Hell's finest runs scared? Things that can do this, he gestured at the devastation, without breaking a sweat? I can count them on one hand, and most of them are locked away in places that make the Phantom Zone look like a bloody holiday resort. Batman's eyes narrowed. You're saying he's not from Earth? Not from Earth, not from any dimension in our local cluster, and definitely not something Gotham's ready for. Constantine stood, flicking ash onto a demon's ruined face. The armor alone? You scan it yet with your bat toys? Preliminary readings suggest technology more advanced than anything LexCorp or Wayne Enterprises has developed. See, the energy blade generates power comparable to New God technology. Constantine's expression darkened. Darkseid's tech? Similar signatures, different origin. Wonderful. So we've got an interdimensional demon killer walking around Gotham with god-tier weapons. And he just collapsed a hell portal with a kind of casual ease that suggests he's done it a few thousand times before. Constantine lit another cigarette from the first, his hands not quite steady. Batman, I've been doing this occult shite for longer than I care to remember. I've seen things that would make your Joker look like a children's party clown. And I'm telling you right now, that thing we just saw, he's not here by accident. When something like that crosses dimensional boundaries, it's because hell itself couldn't hold him anymore. Batman processed this, mind already racing through contingencies. Can you track him? Track him? Mate, every demon from here to the ninth circle is going to feel him walking around. He's like a bloody lighthouse made of fuck you, pointed directly at Hell's front door. Tracking him won't be the problem. Constantine met Batman's eyes, and for once the con man's mask dropped, revealing genuine concern. The problem is going to be what happens when Hell's upper management, the real powers, not these grunt-level bastards, decide they want him gone. Or worse. Worse? Or when they decide they want him back. The rain began falling harder, washing demon blood toward Gotham's storm drains, carrying it toward the ocean where it would join all the other sin and violence this city bled every night. Batman stood, samples secured, mind already formulating his approach. And if Superman would want to talk to the warrior, extend the hand of friendship and hope. Wonder Woman would assess him as a potential ally or threat through combat. The Flash would try to befriend him with optimism and terrible jokes. Batman would do what he always did, prepare for the worst-case scenario. Because somewhere in Gotham's endless night, an armored warrior who had torn through hell itself was walking the streets, and Batman needed to know whether he was looking at Earth's newest defender or its next greatest threat. The line between the two, he'd learned, was often razor-thin and painted in blood. Constantine was already walking away, hands back in his pockets, cigarette smoke trailing behind him like a funeral shroud. Do yourself a favor, Batman, he called over his shoulder. When you confront him, and you will, because you're you, don't assume the usual rules apply. This one doesn't negotiate, doesn't compromise. He's got one setting, and it's rip and tear until it's done. You try to control that. You try to put him on a leash. Constantine paused, turning back with a grim smile. You'll find out real quick what happens when an unstoppable force meets Gotham's immovable object. Then the magician was gone, fading into shadows in the way that suggested actual magic rather than just dramatic exits. Batman was alone in Crime Alley again, surrounded by the evidence of violence so absolute that even Gotham's darkness seemed to recoil from it. He activated his comm link. Alfred, prepare the containment protocols and contact the Justice League. Tell them we have a Code Omega situation. Another invasion, sir? Alfred's voice was calm, professional, completely unflappable even when discussing apocalyptic scenarios. No, Batman said, looking toward the direction the warrior had walked, where even now his tracking systems showed the armored figure moving deeper into Gotham's heart. An arrival. The Batcave's main computer screen displayed 17 different feeds simultaneously, each one tracking the armored warrior's progress through Gotham's underbelly. Batman stood before the monitors, cowl pulled back, Bruce Wayne's face illuminated by the cold blue glow of surveillance technology that would make the NSA weep with envy. Alfred stood beside him, tea service on a nearby table, because even apocalyptic scenarios required proper hydration and British sensibility. He's not hiding, Bruce observed. I'm watching the warrior walk through the Bowery with the same methodical pace he'd maintained since leaving Crime Alley. No attempt at stealth, no effort to avoid cameras. Perhaps he doesn't know he's being watched, Master Bruce. He knew I was watching him from 300 meters away through active camouflage. He knows. Bruce's fingers moved across the keyboard, pulling up biometric data that made less sense the more he analyzed it. He doesn't care. The warrior had encountered 6 separate criminal situations in the past 40 minutes. A mugging in progress, a drug deal, an attempted carjacking, a bar fight that spilled into the street. Each time, the warrior had simply walked past without breaking stride, as though the violence was beneath his notice. The criminals had stared at the armored figure with weapons half-raised, his survival instinct warring with territorial aggression, and each time they'd let him pass. Something about that silent, unstoppable march communicated a message even Gotham's predators understood. I am not your concern, and you are not mine. The armor's energy signature is stable, Bruce said, pulling up the analysis he'd been running since collecting samples. Self-sustaining power source, probably fusion-based, but with exotic particles I can't identify. The demon blood didn't just disappear, it was converted into energy and absorbed. The suit is designed to grow stronger by killing specific targets. How delightfully horrifying, Alfred said dryly. Shall I prepare the good contingency plans or the existential threat contingency plans? Both. Bruce switched screens, displaying the energy blade's scan results. Mia, the blade generates a quantum field that can cut through dimensional barriers, not destabilize them, cut them with precision. Whoever built this technology understood dimensional physics at a level that makes our science look like cave paintings. Dr. Fate might have insights. I've already sent him the data. He's not responding, which means either he's dealing with his own crisis or he's deliberately avoiding this situation. Bruce's jaw tightened. Constantine recognized what this is. He was genuinely afraid, Alfred. Constantine, who once told Satan to saw it off, was afraid. One of the monitors flashed red. Movement detected. Bruce pulled up the feed to find the warrior had stopped walking. He stood in Robinson Park near the old fountain that hadn't worked in 15 years, and he was removing his helmet. And the face beneath was human. Younger than Bruce expected, maybe 30, though the eyes looked far older. Short brown hair, scarred features, and an expression of such absolute focus that it bordered on the inhuman. The warrior set his helmet on the fountain's edge and simply stood there, breathing the polluted Gotham air, staring up at the smog-obscured sky like he was trying to remember what stars looked like. He's not a demon, Alfred observed. No, he's something worse. He's a man who's been fighting demons so long he's become their perfect counter. Bruce studied the face, running it through every database on Earth. No matches, not in any criminal system, military record, or civilian registry. He doesn't exist in any of our records. Perhaps he exists in someone else's records. Bruce was already typing, and sending encrypted messages through channels that bypassed normal communication networks. The Justice League needed to know about this, but he wanted more information first. Clark would want to help immediately, which could be disastrous if the warrior perceived Kryptonian intervention as a threat. Diana would understand the warrior mentality better, might be able to establish communication through combat protocols. Barry would try to lighten the situation with humor that would fall on deaf ears. The monitor showed the warrior putting his helmet back on. He resumed walking, heading toward Bruce's blood ran cold, toward Arkham Asylum. Alfred, activate Protocol Omega-7. The Arkham scenario, sir. You believe he's targeting the inmates? I believe he's following whatever trail brought him here. And if there are demons in Gotham, Arkham is where they'd hide. Bruce pulled the cowl back up, becoming Batman again. If he reaches the asylum before I do, we'll have a massacre. Would that necessarily be a bad thing, Master Bruce? The Joker alone? Don't. Batman's voice was sharp. We don't cross that line, ever. No matter how many times they escape, no matter how many people they kill, we don't become executioners. He moved toward the Batmobile, already calculating travel time. That's what separates us from them. And what if our armored friend disagrees with that philosophy? Batman paused at the vehicle's entrance. Then I'll stop him, one way or another. The Batmobile screamed through Gotham's streets, active camouflage rendering it nearly invisible to casual observation. Batman's mind raced faster than the engine. Preparing for a confrontation he wasn't certain he could win. The warrior's strength was comparable to metahumans. His weapons were beyond cutting edge, and his demonstrated skill suggested combat experience measured in decades, possibly centuries, if Constantine's dimensional timeline theories were accurate. Batman had contingency plans for Superman, Wonder Woman, even the entire Justice League if they went rogue. But those plans relied on knowing his opponents, understanding their psychology, exploiting their weaknesses. This warrior was an unknown variable, operating on logic Batman couldn't predict. The comm crackled. Batman, this is Constantine. Don't do what you're about to do. You're tracking him, too. Everyone in the magical community is tracking him. He's like a nuclear reactor made of condensed demon-killing intent. You go head-to-head with that, you're going to lose. Constantine's voice carried genuine urgency. I'm serious, mate. Stand down. Let the League handle this. The League isn't here. I am. Stubborn, bat-themed idiot. Constantine sighed, the sound of a lighter clicking in the background. Fine. But when this goes sideways, and it will, remember I warned you. That warrior's been fighting Hell's armies for so long, he doesn't know how to do anything else. You get between him and what he perceives as demons, you become an obstacle, and he removes obstacles. Noted. Batman cut the connection, focusing on the road ahead. Arkham Asylum loomed in the distance, its Gothic architecture a monument to Gotham's particular brand of madness. The warrior would reach it in 3 minutes. Batman would arrive in 2. He made it in 90 seconds. The Batmobile slid to a halt outside Arkham's main entrance, where the warrior stood before the reinforced doors, helmet tilted slightly as though scanning the building's interior. Batman emerged from the vehicle, cape spreading behind him, every movement calculated to project authority and control he wasn't certain he possessed. Stop, Batman commanded, voice modulated through the cowl's speakers to carry maximum intimidation. Whatever you're planning, it stops here. The warrior turned, and for a moment they stood in silence, two figures defined by their armor and their absolute commitment to their respective missions. Batman could see his own reflection in the warrior's visor, a dark shape against Arkham's floodlights, cape moving slightly in Gotham's perpetual wind. The warrior didn't speak. Instead, he raised one gauntleted hand and pointed at the asylum, then made a gesture that needed no translation. Demons inside. His hand moved to the massive shotgun mag-locked to his armor's back. There are people in there, Batman said, taking a calculated step forward. Sick people. Criminals, yes, but they deserve trial and treatment, not execution. If there are demons possessing inmates, we have protocols. Magic users who can perform exorcisms without killing the hosts. The warrior's head tilted slightly, processing this information. Then he lowered his hand from the shotgun and instead drew the energy blade. The crucible ignited with a sound like reality tearing, its crimson light painting Arkham's walls the color of blood. Batman's hand moved to his utility belt, or fingers closing around a device he'd designed specifically for metahuman containment. I can't let you go in there. Not like this. Not with that. He paused, choosing his next words carefully. I don't know where you came from or what you've been through, but this is Earth, my city. And there are rules here. For the first time the warrior spoke. His voice was rough, unused to forming words, emerging from the helmet's speakers like gravel grinding against stone. No. One word, absolute, final. The warrior moved toward the asylum doors, and Batman had perhaps half a second to make a choice that would define everything that came next. He made it. The explosive batarang struck the ground between the warrior and the doors, detonating with enough force to crater concrete and send smoke billowing across the entrance. Yet Batman used the cover to close distance, grapnel gun launching him forward, feet aimed for a strike that would... The warrior caught him. Mid-air, mid-strike, moving with speed, Batman's threat assessment had categorized as impossible for someone in that armor. The gauntleted hand closed around Batman's ankle like a vice, and suddenly Batman was being swung in a brutal arc that terminated against Arkham's exterior wall. The impact drove the breath from his lungs, cracked 3 ribs despite the armor's protection, and would have killed an unprotected human instantly. Batman hit the ground, rolled, came up throwing, flashbangs, smoke pellets, electroshock batarangs, every non-lethal option designed to disorient and disable. The warrior walked through them like they were rain, the Praetor suit systems compensating for every countermeasure Batman deployed. The flashbangs should have overloaded any visual system. The warrior's visor simply polarized. The electroshock should have disrupted the armor's systems. It was absorbed and channeled into the ground. Batman switched tactics, voice activating the remote Batmobile systems. The vehicle's non-lethal deterrence activated, sonic pulse, electromagnetic disruption, directed flashbang array. The warrior turned toward it, raised his free hand, and from his gauntlet emerged a weapon that Batman's tactical computer identified half a second too late. A precision plasma rifle. The shot vaporized the Batmobile's deterrent systems in a single blast, the vehicle's armor bubbling and melting under exotic energy discharge. Batman's throat tightened. And that shot could have destroyed the entire vehicle, could have killed him. The warrior had aimed for the weapon systems with surgical precision, neutralizing the threat without escalating to lethal force. He was holding back. Scan complete, the warrior's helmet speakers announced in that same grinding voice. 14 demon signatures, multiple human hosts, separation not possible. He looked at Batman, still crumpled against the wall, ribs screaming, "Move, or be moved." Batman forced himself to his feet, every breath agony. "I'm calling the Justice League. Superman will be here in seconds. Wonder Woman right behind him. You might be strong, but you can't fight all of us." "Not fighting you," the warrior said, turning back to the asylum. "Fighting them. Those are people in there." The warrior's helmet turned slightly, and Batman caught a glimpse of those cold green eyes through the visor. "We're people. Now demons. Difference matters." Before Batman could respond, the comm crackled again. Not Constantine this time. A different voice, feminine, resonant with divine authority. "Batman, stand down, Wonder Woman. I'm 30 seconds out with Superman. Do not engage further." "Diana, he's about to—" "I know. Constantine briefed us. Stand down. That's an order from the League." The warrior must have heard the transmission, despite Batman's encrypted channel, because his helmet tilted in what might have been curiosity. Then he did something that made Batman's tactical mind scramble to reassess everything. He deactivated the crucible and stepped away from the asylum doors. He was waiting. Not retreating, not surrendering. I'm waiting to see what Superman and Wonder Woman would bring to this confrontation beyond violence. Batman sagged against the wall, ribs protesting, watching the warrior stand in perfect stillness while Gotham's polluted wind moved his tattered cape. Was that a cape? Batman hadn't noticed before, and somewhere overhead, the sound of supersonic flight announced the Justice League's arrival. Batman activated his comm. "Alfred, upgrade the warrior's threat assessment to Omega level, and prepare the medical bay. I think I'm going to need it." "Already prepared, sir. I took the liberty of assuming you would do something heroically stupid." Despite the pain, despite the situation, Batman almost smiled. "Good man." The sky tore open with the sound of someone breaking the sound barrier, and Superman descended like a red and blue meteor, our cape billowing, expression a mixture of concern and determination. Wonder Woman landed beside him a heartbeat later, golden lasso already in hand, warrior princess assessing the new threat with eyes that had seen millennia of combat. The warrior looked at Superman, at Wonder Woman, at Batman still bleeding against Arkham's wall. Then, with deliberate slowness, he removed his helmet again, letting them see his human face, his scarred features, his eyes that had stared into hell and never blinked. And when he spoke this time, the words came easier, like he was remembering how language worked. "I am the Doomslayer. The demons inside must die. Help or move." Superman floated forward, hands raised in peace, the universal gesture of someone who comes in friendship. "I'm Superman. This is Wonder Woman, and you've already met Batman. Yet we're not your enemies, but we can't let you kill anyone, demon or not, without understanding the full situation. Please, let us help." The Doomslayer stared at Superman for a long moment, and Batman watched something move behind those ancient eyes. Recognition, maybe. Or possibly surprise that something could speak of mercy while radiating that much power. Superman's bio-aura alone would register on any advanced scanning system as godlike. No time, the Doomslayer said, putting his helmet back on. Demons spread. Infection grows. Clock runs out. He looked at Wonder Woman, seeming to recognize something in her warrior's stance. You understand. Kill before corruption spreads. Mercy comes after threat dies. Diana's expression was unreadable, but her grip on the lasso tightened. I understand the warrior's logic. Yeah, but this is not a battlefield where only soldiers die. Those people inside, already dead, the Doomslayer interrupted. Saw it before, 1,000 times. Demons don't possess, they consume. Where the meat? No saving them. He moved toward the doors again. Help or move? Choose now. And Batman, watching through pain-blurred vision, realized they were about to discover whether the Justice League's ideals could survive contact with someone who'd been fighting evil so long he'd forgotten how to do anything else. Superman moved faster than human eyes could track, positioning himself between the Doomslayer and Arkham's entrance with the kind of speed that bent physics into uncomfortable shapes. His expression remained calm, hopeful even, though his body language radiated the casual confidence of someone who could bench press mountains. I understand you believe you're doing the right thing, Clark said, voice carrying that Midwestern earnestness that had talked down gods and convinced dictators to surrender. But we need to verify your claims before anyone dies. Batman, can you confirm demonic presence? Batman pushed himself upright, ribs grinding, and activated the cowl's enhanced scanning systems. Arkham's exterior shielding made deep scans difficult, but supernatural energies had distinct signatures that pierced conventional barriers. The readout made his jaw tighten. 14 anomalous biosignatures, thermal patterns inconsistent with human metabolism, electromagnetic distortions consistent with what Constantine calls hell leakage. He looked at the Doomslayer. He might be right. Might? Wonder Woman stepped forward, on her warrior's instinct clearly warring with her diplomatic training. Batman, are there demons inside or not? There are definitely entities inside that aren't human anymore. Whether the original personalities can be saved, they can't. The Doomslayer's voice cut through the discussion like his crucible through reality. Seen possession, seen corruption, seen demons wear human faces and beg for mercy with voices that aren't theirs anymore. You hesitate, they spread. You negotiate, they corrupt. You hope. He looked directly at Superman. They feast on it. Clark's expression hardened slightly, though the hope never left his eyes. I've faced demons before. Trigon, Neron, the armies of hell itself during the last major incursion. We found ways to save the possessed without killing them. Zatanna, Constantine, Dr. Fate, they have methods. Not here, the Doomslayer said. He tapped the side of his helmet, and a holographic display emerged, technology that made Batman's cowl look like a child's toy. The projection showed Arkham's interior layout with 14 red signatures pulsing like infected wounds. Scanned on approach, demonic integration at 97%. Hosts consumed 72 hours ago. What remains is skin stretched over hell. Diana moved closer to examine the display, her centuries of combat experience recognizing tactical intelligence when she saw it. Your scanning technology can determine possession percentage? Fought demons across 18 dimensions. 70 billion confirmed kills. The Doomslayer's voice carried no pride, no emotion at all, just stating facts like someone reporting inventory. Or I'll learn to measure corruption or die by hesitation. These, he gestured at the pulsing signatures, are past saving. We're past saving before I arrived. 70 billion, Superman repeated, and for the first time genuine shock crossed his features. That's, you're saying you've killed 70 billion demons? Confirmed kills, actual number higher. The Doomslayer closed the holographic display. Hell is infinite. Demons are infinite. Kill count becomes meaningless after first million. What matters? Demons die. Humanity lives. Simple math. Batman's tactical mind was already racing through implications. If the warriors' count was accurate, and something about that absolute empty delivery suggested it was, then they weren't dealing with a soldier or even a veteran. Or they were dealing with someone who'd been fighting a genocidal war across multiple dimensions for so long that industrial-scale slaughter had become routine. "How long?" Batman asked. "How long have you been fighting?" The Doomslayer was silent for a moment, helmet tilted as though calculating something difficult. Time moves different in Hell. Linear measurement irrelevant. Subjective experience. Another pause. Eons. Wonder Woman's eyes widened fractionally, the only sign of surprise she allowed herself. As an Amazon who'd lived millennia, she understood what eons meant. She understood what that kind of war would do to a person. And you fought alone? No allies? No respite? Had allies once. The Doomslayer's voice went even flatter, if that was possible. Demons killed them. Learned lesson? Rely on self. Trust weapon. Complete mission. No other variables. That's not living, Clark said softly. That's just surviving. Survival is living. Everything else is luxury hell doesn't permit. The Doomslayer's helmet turned toward Arkham's doors, where faint screaming had started to emerge from the building's depths. Out of time. Demons know I'm here, becoming agitated. Will break containment, spread to city. He looked at Superman. You fast enough to evacuate Gotham before infection spreads? 3 million people in 6 minutes? Clark's expression tightened. No, not that fast. Then demons die now. Help or move. Wonder Woman's lasso suddenly gleamed with golden light, ancient magic responding to her will. There is a third option, warrior. You submit to the lasso of truth. Let us verify your claims absolutely. And then we make decisions together based on complete information rather than your battlefield experience alone. The Doomslayer looked at the lasso, then at Diana, and something that might have been respect crossed his posture. Weapon of truth. Divine origin. Greek pantheon? At Diana's slight nod, he continued. Respect the craft. Respect the warrior. Answer is no. It wasn't a request, Diana said, voice carrying the authority of someone who'd commanded armies when Rome was young. Don't care. The Doomslayer's hand moved to his shotgun. Lasso can't hold what refuses to be held. Your truth against my mission. Mission wins. Always wins. Batman watched the situation deteriorate. 3 of the world's most powerful beings moving toward confrontation while Arkham Asylum screamed behind them. His ribs protested as he stepped forward, a voice cutting through the tension. Stop, all of you. We're asking the wrong questions. Superman glanced at him. Bruce. He's been fighting demons for eons. We've been fighting them intermittently for years. He has scanning technology that can measure demonic corruption with precision we don't possess. His kill count suggests expertise we can't match. Batman looked directly at the Doomslayer. But he's also operating on instincts developed in dimensions where mercy was fatal. This is Earth. Our rules. Our jurisdiction. Our responsibility. Jurisdiction's irrelevant to hell, the Doomslayer said. Maybe. But here's the relevant question. If you're wrong, if even one of those 14 signatures can be saved and you kill them anyway, can you accept that outcome? Batman's voice was steel wrapped in gravel. Because we can't. We've built our entire mission around the principle that every life has value, that redemption is possible, that we don't execute without absolute certainty. You want to operate on Earth? You need to understand that principle. The Doomslayer was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried something new, not quite frustration, but close. Watched worlds burn because heroes hesitated. Saw civilizations fall because someone thought mercy mattered more than survival. Learned hesitation kills everyone except the demons. He looked at each of them in turn. Your principle gets tested when hell arrives. How many die before you accept my math? We don't know, Superman admitted. But we have to try the other way first. That's what makes us heroes instead of executioners. From inside Arkham, something roared. Not human. Not anything that had ever been human. The sound carried through stone and steel, a noise that existed somewhere between rage and hunger, and it made Batman's threat assessment system scream warnings about immediate danger. The Doomslayer's weapons activated instantly, shotgun in his hands, crucible igniting on his hip. Too late, containment broken, demons spreading. He looked at Superman. Evacuate or fight. Decide. Wonder Woman's lasso spun into defensive position, her shield materializing from her bracers. We fight, but non-lethally until we can confirm. The asylum's main doors exploded outward. What emerged wasn't human anymore, though it wore the shape of one. Batman's cowl identified the base form as Thomas Elliot, Hush, master surgeon and obsessive enemy. But Hush's features were twisted, elongated. His skin stretched too tight over something that had too many bones in wrong places. His mouth opened impossibly wide, jaw unhinging like a snake's, and when he screamed, it was in languages that predated human civilization. The Doomslayer didn't hesitate. The shotgun roared once, twice, the demon-wearing Hush staggering backward as shells tore through corrupted flesh. But Superman was faster, blurring forward to interpose himself between the Doomslayer and the target. Stop! We can still… Hush's hand, elongated into claws that dripped acid, slashed across Superman's chest. The Kryptonian bio-aura should have made him invulnerable to conventional attacks, but this wasn't conventional. This was Hell's fingerprints on reality, and Hell didn't play by physics. Superman's suit tore, blood welled, and Clark's expression shifted from hope to shock. Magic, Wonder Woman said, already moving. The possession grants them magical properties. Clark, fall back! But 12 more figures were emerging from Arkham now, each wearing the meat suit of different inmates. Batman's cowl identified them. Joker, Scarecrow, Two-Face, Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, Bane, Killer Croc, Mad Hatter, Riddler, Firefly, Victor Zosh, and the Ventriloquist. Except they weren't those people anymore. They were things that had consumed those people from the inside out, wearing their faces like masks while something ancient and hungry piloted the flesh. The demon wearing Joker's skin smiled with too many teeth. When it spoke, the voice was layered. Joker's maniacal laugh underneath something that sounded like grinding stone. Well, 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 Batsy brought friends, and someone new. Love the armor. A very 90s video game protagonist. Are we playing Doom? I've always wanted to play Doom. Asmodeus, the Doomslayer identified, voice cold. Lesser Demon Lord, corruption specialist. Knows I'm here, using host's personality as camouflage. The shotgun swung toward Joker Thing. Clever, useless. Batman's hand shot out, catching the Doomslayer's arm, a gesture of profound stupidity given the strength differential, but desperation made people stupid. That could still be Joker in there, some part of him. We've saved possessed people before. Constantine can… The Joker Thing's head rotated 180 degrees, neck bones crackling, to look at Batman with eyes that were solid black pits. Constantine? Oh, you mean the sad British wizard who smells like cigarettes and broken promises? He's been trying to exorcise us for 2 days, Batsy. Didn't you wonder why he called you instead of handling this himself? The Thing's grin widened further than human anatomy allowed. He failed. They always fail. But please, keep hoping. Hope tastes delicious when we rip it out of you. The Doomslayer looked at Batman, and through the helmet's visor, those ancient green eyes carried a single message. I told you so. Then he moved. The shotgun thundered, but Superman was there again, catching the shells mid-flight with Kryptonian speed, crushing them before they could reach the Joker Thing. I said no killing. The Doomslayer's response was to drop the shotgun. It magnetically locked to his armor and draw the crucible in a single fluid motion. The energy blade carved through the air toward the Joker Thing's center mass, but Wonder Woman's lasso wrapped around his wrist, divine magic, attempting to bind technology and will that had fought through hell itself. For half a second, the lasso held. Then Argent energy surged through the Doomslayer's armor, burning brighter than Wonder Woman had seen anything burn. And the lasso, The lasso of truth that had bound gods and broken curses began to smoke. Not breaking, not yet, but straining against something it wasn't designed to contain. Hera's mercy, Diana breathed. What are you? Told you. Doomslayer, demon killer, nothing else matters. He twisted, and the lasso spun Wonder Woman like a tetherball before releasing her into Superman's arms. Your choice. Help kill demons or keep trying to stop me. Choose poorly, die poorly. The 13 demon things spread out, cackling and hissing and speaking in tongues that made the air taste like copper. The thing wearing Bane's body cracked knuckles that had too many joints. The Scarecrow demon exuded fear toxin mixed with demonic essence that made Batman's cowl filters scream contamination warnings. The poison ivy thing sprouted vines that moved with predatory intelligence and dripped venom that dissolved concrete. This is going well, Batman muttered, reaching for weapons he knew wouldn't be enough. Superman floated upward slightly, torn between ideals and reality, blood still seeping from the claw wound on his chest. His X-ray vision scanned the demon things, looking for any sign of humanity remaining, finding only corruption and hunger wearing human faces. Diana, can your lasso separate demon from host? Not at this integration level. The binding is too complete. Wonder Woman's expression was grim. Clark, I think... The Scarecrow demon lunged, fear toxin spraying in concentrated streams. Batman rolled left, but the spray caught his cape, and suddenly he was drowning in visions of Crime Alley, of Jason Todd's broken body, of every failure he'd ever experienced amplified by demonic influence. His mind screamed warnings even as his body locked up, fear response overriding years of training. The Doomslayer's fist caught the Scarecrow demon in mid-leap, gauntlet crushing through corrupted ribcage like paper. The demon shrieked, clawing at the armored arm, but the Doomslayer simply lifted it higher and activated something in his gauntlet. Flames erupted. Not normal fire, but something that burned with colors that shouldn't exist. Flames that consumed demonic essence while leaving corrupted flesh untouched for precious seconds. Even the demon wearing Scarecrow's skin writhed, screaming in languages older than language, and then something happened that made everyone stop fighting. The demon separated from its host. Not cleanly, not gently, but it separated. A shadow form of claws and teeth being burned out of Jonathan Crane's body by flames that specifically targeted Hell's fingerprints on reality. Crane's body collapsed, unconscious but breathing, while the demon shadow attempted to flee. The Doomslayer's other hand caught it, the crucible flashing once, and the shadow simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no drama. Just existence to non-existence in the span of a heartbeat. Superman stared. You can separate them. Your equipment can actually burn out the demons without killing the hosts. Sometimes, the Doomslayer said, dropping Crane's unconscious form. Early-stage possession. These others, he gestured at the remaining 12 demon things. Too far gone. Flames won't work, only steel. Then we use that. Clark's voice carried desperate hope. We can save some of them. We just need... The remaining 12 demon things attacked simultaneously. And in the chaos that followed, Superman trying to contain without killing, Wonder Woman's warrior instincts warring with her compassion, Batman fighting through fear, toxin corruption to coordinate defenses. The Doomslayer did what he'd done for eons. He killed demons. The Crucible sang its song of ending. The shotgun roared its hymn of destruction. Gauntleted fists broke bodies that weren't bodies anymore, just meat puppets, piloted by things that feared nothing except the one being in all of creation who'd made himself into their apocalypse. And when the battle ended, when the last demon fell and the last host collapsed, some alive, like Crane, but most not, the Doomslayer stood in the center of carnage he'd created, armor absorbing argent energy from demon corpses, growing stronger with each kill just like it was designed to do. Superman landed nearby, cape torn, chest wound healing slowly, expression shattered. You killed them. You killed 10 people. Killed 10 demons, the Doomslayer corrected. People were already dead. I ended what consumed them. He looked at the 3 surviving hosts, Crane, Riddler, and Ventriloquist, all unconscious but breathing. Saved 3. Better than your 0. Wonder Woman lowered her sword, studying the warrior with new understanding. You've done this before, faced this exact scenario, made this exact choice. 1,000 times. And always same outcome. Heroes try mercy. Mercy fails. People die. I clean up. The Doomslayer's helmet turned toward Arkham, where 4 more demon signatures still pulsed. 4 remain inside. Deepest corruption. No saving them. Building needs purge. Batman pushed himself upright, fear toxin finally clearing from his system, and looked at the bodies of people he'd fought for years. Joker's corpse stared at the sky with empty eyes. Demon burned out, but body destroyed in the process. There has to be another way. There was. Called prevention. Missed that window 72 hours ago. The Doomslayer walked toward Arkham's shattered entrance. Stay here. Secure survivors. Or come inside and learn why demons fear me. He disappeared into darkness, leaving the Justice League's 3 most powerful members standing among the dead, a force to confront a truth they'd spent years denying. Sometimes mercy wasn't enough. Sometimes the only answer was a man willing to do what they couldn't, bearing the cost they wouldn't, becoming the monster that hunted monsters so that others didn't have to. Superman looked at Batman, then at Wonder Woman. We can't let him operate alone. Someone has to monitor him, Batman finished. Make sure he doesn't go too far. Make sure we understand what we're dealing with. He activated his comm. Alfred, contact the Justice League. Full assembly. We have a situation that's going to require everyone. Inside Arkham, gunfire echoed. Demons screamed. And the Doomslayer continued doing what he'd done for eons, because someone had to, and he'd long ago accepted that someone would always be him. The Justice League watchtower orbited Earth in silence that felt heavier than the vacuum of space surrounding it. Batman stood before the assembled heroes, ribs wrapped in regenerative bandaging that Alfred had applied with pointed commentary about suicidal confrontations with unknown entities. The Doomslayer stood apart from everyone, helmet still on, weapons still active, radiating an aura of barely contained violence that made even seasoned heroes unconsciously maintain distance. Superman floated near the observation window, arms crossed. The claw wound on his chest finally healed, but the psychological damage still visible in his expression. Wonder Woman stood between the Slayer and the rest of the League, not quite defensive, not quite threatening, but positioned like someone ready to intervene the moment violence erupted. Side of the Flash vibrated in place, nervous energy making him blur at the edges. Green Lantern. Hal Jordan's ring glowed faintly, construct half-formed and waiting. Cyborg interfaced with the Watchtower's sensors, analyzing the Slayer's armor with technology that looked primitive by comparison. Aquaman had his arms crossed, studying the warrior with the assessment of someone who'd fought wars beneath oceans. Martian Manhunter stood in human form, though his eyes occasionally flickered red with the effort of not reading the Slayer's mind. His mental shields are… John paused, searching for words. Absolute. I've never encountered anything like them. It's not that he's blocking me. It's that his mind exists in a state of such singular focus that there's nothing to read except the mission. Kill demons, protect humanity, or everything else is noise he's learned to eliminate. That's not healthy, Flash said, voice carrying genuine concern. Nobody can function like that. You'd go crazy. Perhaps he already did, Wonder Woman said quietly. Eons of warfare would break anyone. What we're looking at might be what remains after sanity became a luxury. The Doomslayer's helmet turned slightly toward Diana, and when he spoke, his voice carried something that might have been dark amusement. Not crazy, focused. Difference matters, crazy hesitates, crazy doubts, crazy hopes for better outcomes. He gestured at the assembled heroes. You hope, I execute. Your way saves some, kills many. My way kills all demons, saves remainder. Your way killed 10 people tonight, Superman said, voice tight with controlled anger. 10 people we might have saved if you'd given us time. Gave you time in 78 other dimensions, the Slayer replied. Outcome always same. Heroes hesitate. Demons spread. Body count climbs. Eventually, heroes accept my math, but only after acceptable losses become unacceptable massacres. He pulled up his holographic display again, showing a list that made several League members step closer despite themselves. The list was long, worlds, dimensions, civilizations, each entry marked with two numbers: demons killed, humans saved. The ratios were horrifying. Millions of demons killed to save thousands of humans. But scrolling further revealed the pattern. Early intervention meant better ratios. Hesitation meant catastrophic losses. Dimension 447 Theta, the Slayer said, highlighting one entry. Heroes tried exorcisms first. Demons spread during ritual preparation. 40 million dead before heroes accepted lethal response. Dimension 892. Prime. Heroes built containment facilities. Demons corrupted containment staff. 80 million dead. Dimension 2. 2-3, Omega. Heroes negotiated with demon lords, seeking peace treaty. He paused. No survivors. Complete planetary extinction. I arrived too late. The silence that followed was oppressive. Cyborg's sensors flickered as he processed the data. These logs, they're real. I'm detecting dimensional signatures consistent with multiversal travel. He's actually been to these places. How many dimensions? Batman asked, voice carefully neutral. The Slayer's display shifted, showing a number that made even Batman's exceptional composure crack. 2,847 documented dimensional incursions. Stopped counting after 3,000. Odd numbers become meaningless. Only mission matters. And in all those dimensions, you never found a better way? Superman's voice carried desperate hope. Never discovered a method that didn't require killing the hosts? Found 73 methods across different dimensional physics. Employed them when applicable. The Slayer closed the display. This dimension's laws permit 3 methods. Early-stage flame purge, which saved 3 hosts. Mid-stage divine intervention, requiring gods willing to intercede. He looked at Wonder Woman. Greek pantheon available, but prayer response time averages 4 hours. Late stage, none. Host consumed. Only death releases them. Wonder Woman's expression tightened. The gods answer prayers on their schedule, not ours. No, worked with pantheons before. Gods powerful but unreliable. You prefer self-reliance. The Slayer turned to face Superman directly. Question. You can hear screams across Metropolis. How many prayers for help do you hear daily? Clark's jaw tightened. Thousands. I can't save everyone. I prioritize. Exactly. Prioritize. Make calculations. Except that helping some means others die. The Slayer's voice went even flatter. I make same calculations. Difference. I accept the math without hope softening the edges. You want better way? So do I. Show me better way that works in real-time combat against Hell's infinite armies, and I'll use it. Until then, I use what works. What about containment? Green Lantern suggested, his ring projecting a complex construct design. We could build prison dimensions specifically for possessed hosts. Keep them alive while we research cures. Tried that. On Dimension 567 Delta, built dimensional prison. Demons learned to corrupt the prison itself, turned it into Hell's beachhead. Lost entire solar system. The Slayer's helmet tilted toward Hal. Green energy? Willpower-based? Similar to Argent energy principles. Respect the craft. Also know demons feed on strong emotions. Willpower, especially nutritious. Prison guard detail would be corrupted within weeks. Hal's construct flickered and died. Damn. Batman stepped forward, pulling up his own holographic display. The analysis of Demon remains from Arkham. Your equipment, the flame projector that separated demons from early-stage hosts. Can it be replicated? Mass-produced? If we had that technology available for rapid response, no. The Slayer's response was immediate and absolute. Technology requires Argent energy. Argent energy derived from Hell's dimensional physics. To mass-produce, would need to establish Hell energy collection infrastructure. Know what happens when civilizations start harvesting Hell energy? He pulled up another display entry, this one showing a planet-sized industrial complex. Harvesting becomes dependency. Dependency becomes corruption. Corruption becomes invasion from inside. Lost 16 dimensions to that scenario. Then share the specifications, Cyborg said, his mechanical components interfacing with the Watchtower's systems. Let us analyze it. Find alternative power sources. Earth tech combined with alien technology might. Your technology 300 years behind Argent Energy Engineering minimum. Your alien technology. The Slayer looked at the Green Lantern ring. Impressive but different application. Reverse engineering would take decades. Don't have decades. Have today, tomorrow. Each day demons plan next incursion. That's it then? Flash asked, vibrating faster with frustration. We just accept that you're our only option? That we have to trust someone we met 6 hours ago who's killed 70 billion demons and refuses to share his tech? Don't trust me, the Slayer said. Trust math? Trust pattern recognition? Trust that I've fought this war longer than your species has existed. He paused, and when he continued, something in his voice suggested this was the most important thing he'd say. Trust that I don't want to be here. Don't want to kill. Don't want endless war. But want less? Demons winning. So I kill demons until no demons remain, or until I die. Simple calculus. Wonder Woman studied him with the eyes of a warrior who'd lived millennia, who understood what endless war did to soldiers. You were human once, before the armor, before the augmentation. What did you fight for then? The Slayer was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of memory that might have been centuries or eons old. Fought for Earth. My Earth. Different dimension, but same planet. Demons came. Killed everything I loved. Everyone I knew. His gauntleted hand clenched into a fist. Made choice. Became weapon strong enough to kill all demons in all dimensions. Prevent other Earths from burning. That was... Another pause. Long time ago. Before Argent Energy. Before Praetor's suit. Not before mission consumed everything else. You gave up your humanity to save humanity, Superman said softly, understanding finally crossing his features. You made yourself into the one thing demons fear because someone had to. Yes. The single word hung in the air like a confession and a challenge. Batman processed this, tactical mind already formulating approaches. You're not asking for permission to operate. You're informing us that you will operate, regardless of our approval. Correct. Would prefer cooperation. Heroes have resources, intelligence networks, rapid response. Working together efficiency increases, but approval not required. Demons exist. I kill them. Jurisdiction irrelevant. That's not how things work on Earth, Aquaman said, voice carrying the authority of a king. We have laws, protocols. The Justice League exists specifically to handle threats like this through coordinated response that minimizes casualties and respects sovereignty. Your law's impressive, your protocol's thorough, your sovereignty respected. The Slayer's helmet turned to look at each League member in turn. Demons don't care. They'll corrupt your laws, subvert your protocols, ignore your sovereignty, and when they do, will you act? Or deliberate while infection spreads? The question hung unanswered because everyone in the room knew the answer. They'd faced it before. The trolley problem writ large across cities and civilizations. Save the few at risk of losing the many, or sacrifice the few to save the many. Heroes chose the former. The Doomslayer had chosen the latter so many times it had become his entire existence. We can't give you carte blanche to kill anyone you identify as demon-possessed, Batman said finally. But we also can't ignore that your methods work, and your expertise exceeds ours. Proposal. You operate under League oversight. Before engaging targets, you submit intelligence to our rapid response team. We verify, attempt exorcism or separation if viable, and only escalate to lethal force when no alternatives exist. The Slayer's posture shifted slightly. Not quite a laugh, but close. Know what happens when Hell's armies attack? Response time measured in seconds. Your proposal requires minutes. Minutes mean deaths. Answer is no. Then what do you suggest? Wonder Woman asked. Because Clark is right. We can't accept unrestricted killing, even of demons. We need accountability, verification, some method to ensure you're not making mistakes. Don't make mistakes. Scan accuracy 99.7%. Remaining 0.3% comes from demonic camouflage technology. When uncertain, verify manually. When verified, eliminate. The Slayer's helmet tilted. Compromise. Provide you real-time intelligence feed from Praetor suit sensors. You monitor my operations, verify my targeting, intervene if evidence suggests error. I maintain operational autonomy. You maintain oversight. Agreement? Batman and Superman exchanged glances. Wonder Woman nodded slightly. The compromise wasn't perfect. It still gave the Slayer final authority in combat. But it was more than nothing. More importantly, it suggested the warrior understood politics enough to negotiate rather than simply impose. Provisional agreement, Batman said. But first demonstration, we need to see your scanning accuracy, understand how you differentiate demon from human. Cyborg, can you interface with his armor's sensors? Cyborg stepped forward, mechanical hand extending. The Slayer regarded him for a moment, then nodded. A port opened in the Praetor suit's gauntlet, technology that made Cyborg's motherbox integration look primitive, and Victor carefully interfaced his systems. The data flow that resulted made Cyborg's optical sensors widen. Holy, this is incredible. He's scanning quantum states, dimensional frequency, soul signature harmonics. His system can detect corruption at the subatomic level. Batman, this isn't just technology. This is science, so advanced it looks like magic. Technology sufficiently advanced, the Slayer quoted, indistinguishable from magic. Arthur C. Clarke. He read his work during downtime between incursions. Appreciated the perspective. Flash grinned despite the tension. Dude reads classic sci-fi? Okay, I'm starting to like you. Don't. The Slayer's voice was flat. Friendship is liability. Work relationship sufficient. Save liking for people who won't prioritize mission over your life. The brutal honesty killed Flash's smile, but before anyone could respond, the Watchtower's alarm systems erupted. Cyborg's interface with the Slayer's armor broke as he accessed the station's sensors, his expression shifting to horror. We have a problem. Multiple problems. Demon signatures appearing across the globe. New York, Tokyo, London, São Paulo, Cairo. The list kept growing. This isn't random, it's coordinated. The Slayer's weapons activated instantly. Retaliation. Demons know I'm here. Know I'm working with local heroes. Forcing choice. Spread thin and fail, or concentrate and abandon cities. How many signatures? Batman demanded. 347 and counting, Cyborg reported. Growth is exponential. We're looking at a global simultaneous incursion event. Superman's fists clenched. We need to mobilize everyone. Teen Titans, Justice League Dark, every hero we can contact. Even then, not enough, the Slayer finished. This is standard Hell strategy. Overwhelm through numbers. Force heroes to choose who lives, who dies. Break morale through impossible mathematics. He turned to Batman. Asked earlier, do you have gods willing to intervene? Now would be optimal time. Wonder Woman was already moving toward the communication systems. I'll pray to Olympus. But as you noted, our response time is unpredictable. We need immediate action. Agreed. The Slayer's holographic display activated, showing the global incursion points. His armored fingers moved across the display with practiced efficiency, sorting, prioritizing, calculating. Cyborg, transmit these coordinates to all available heroes. Flash, you handle New York cluster, speed advantage against demon swarms. Green Lantern, orbital bombardment on remote locations. Aquaman, coastal cities have demonic presence near water. Your domain. Wonder Woman, London signatures show high-tier demons. Warrior skill required. Superman, Tokyo has largest concentration. Need overwhelming force. He was giving orders, deploying the Justice League like tactical assets. And the terrifying part was that his assessment was perfect. Each hero assigned to locations where their specific abilities provided maximum advantage. What about you? Batman asked. The Slayer's display highlighted a cluster of signatures in Gotham, 47 demons concentrated in a single location. Gotham, largest local concentration. Will eliminate, then mobile response to wherever needs reinforcement. He looked at Batman. You coordinate. Best tactical mind in the room. Use it. Then he was moving, heading toward the Watchtower's transport bay with the purposeful stride of someone who'd done this thousands of times before. Wonder Woman called after him. "Slayer, we haven't agreed to your plan." "Plan stands regardless," he called back without turning. "Demons don't wait for consensus. Neither do I. I'm verify my targeting through sensor feed. Intervene if I'm wrong. Otherwise, stay clear and kill demons." He disappeared into the transport bay, and moments later, a boom tube. When had he acquired boom tube technology? Opened, swallowing him in dimensional transit. The Justice League stood in silence for 3 seconds. Then Batman activated the Watchtower's global communication network, his voice carrying the authority of Earth's greatest tactician. "All heroes, Code Black Global Incursion. Coordinates incoming. This is not a drill. Demonic forces are manifesting worldwide. Engage and neutralize. Lethal force authorized only as last resort. Constantine, Zatanna, Dr. Fate. We need exorcism protocols implemented immediately. Everyone else, follow the Doomslayer's operational plan. He knows this enemy better than we do." Superman looked at Batman concerned. "Bruce, we just gave operational authority to someone we barely know." "No," Batman replied, pulling up the Slayer's sensor feed on the main display. "We acknowledge that someone who's fought this war for eons knows how to win it better than we do. Now we prove we can support him without compromising our principles." He looked at the assembled league. "Move out, and remember, we're heroes. We save people. Even if that means working with someone who's forgotten how to be anything except a weapon." The league dispersed, each hero moving toward their assigned location, leaving Batman alone in the command center with screens showing the Doomslayer tearing through Gotham's demon horde with the efficiency of industrial machinery. "Alfred," Batman said into his comm, "prepare for mass casualty triage and contact Amanda Waller. Tell her we need the Suicide Squad on standby. If this escalates, it will escalate, Master Bruce," Alfred's voice replied. "The question is whether we're prepared for what escalation means when demons decide to send their leadership against Earth's newest demon killer." Batman watched the Slayer fight, watched him kill with precision that would have horrified any normal person, and wondered if Earth had just gained its greatest defender or if they'd simply found a new kind of monster to replace the old ones. In Gotham, the Doomslayer ripped a demon's skull from its shoulders and absorbed its death energy, his armor growing brighter, stronger, more terrible. And across dimensions in the deepest pits of hell, demon lords began to pay attention. Gotham's East End burned with fires that couldn't be extinguished by conventional means, flames that fed on terror rather than oxygen. The Doomslayer moved through the inferno like a force of nature's opposite. Where nature created, he destroyed with surgical precision. His shotgun sang its hymn of ending, each blast removing demons from reality with the efficiency of eons' worth of practice. The Praetor suit's HUD tracked 47 signatures when he'd arrived. Now 32 remained, their numbers declining with mathematical certainty. Batman watched through the sensor feed from the Batcave, coordinating global response while monitoring the Slayer's operation. Alfred stood beside him, medical supplies prepared for the inevitable casualties, watching the slaughter with the expression of someone who'd seen war and recognized its ugly necessity. "He's not enjoying this," Alfred observed quietly. "Most combatants, even our rogues gallery, exhibit some emotional response during violence. Rage, fear, excitement. He displays nothing, just mechanical efficiency." "Because it's not combat to him anymore," Batman replied, fingers moving across the keyboard to redirect Gotham PD away from the East End. "It's extermination. You don't feel emotions about exterminating vermin. You just do it and move to the next infestation." On screen, the Slayer grabbed a demon by its elongated jaw, twisted until the spine separated with a crack audible through the audio feed, then absorbed the resultant argent energy without breaking stride. 3 more demons lunged from burning buildings. The crucible flashed, reality parting around its edge, and the demons simply stopped existing. "Master Bruce, the psychological profile you're building, what does it suggest?" Batman pulled up his analysis, data compiled from the past 8 hours of observation. Someone who's experienced trauma so profound that normal emotional responses shut down. The only thing keeping him functional is mission focus. If he ever completes his mission, if demons were somehow permanently eliminated, I'm not certain what would happen to him. Would he simply cease? Possibly. Or he'd find a new mission, new enemies. He's defined himself so completely by what he kills that without something to kill, there's no self remaining. Batman's expression darkened. It's what I'd become if I let the mission consume everything else. What I'm always one bad day away from becoming. Alfred's hand rested briefly on Bruce's shoulder, a gesture of reassurance and warning combined. Then perhaps watching him serves as cautionary tale as much as tactical intelligence. The sensor feed showed the Slayer had reduced the demon count to 23. But something was changing in the attack patterns. The remaining demons weren't fleeing or attacking randomly anymore. They were coordinating, forming defensive positions, buying time for something. Batman's tactical instinct screamed warnings. Slayer, you have demons establishing defensive perimeter. They're protecting something. Recommend tactical withdrawal until identified. The Slayer's voice came through the comm, emotionless as ever. Summoning circle. High-tier demon manifestation in progress. Withdrawal would permit completion. Unacceptable. You can't fight a demon lord alone, Batman insisted. Wonder Woman is en route from London. She can fought demon lords before. Killed 12 in last month alone. The Slayer's shotgun fired. Demon blood painting the street. This one dies like the others. The ground erupted. What pulled itself from hell's depths into Gotham's burning streets was something that made the previous demons look like children's drawings. 20 feet tall, wreathed in flames that burned reality itself, with skin like volcanic rock and eyes that saw through dimensions. The lesser demons prostrated themselves before it, gibbering in languages that predated human civilization. Batman's threat analysis systems went haywire trying to categorize the entity. Slayer, that's reading as Category Omega Threat. The power levels comparable to Darkseid's Elite. You need backup? Category Irrelevant. It's Demon. Demons die. The Slayer holstered his shotgun and drew a weapon Batman hadn't seen before. Something that looked like a miniaturized particle accelerator fused with artillery. BFG 9000. Big fucking gun. Excuse language. Original engineer had crude sense of humor. The Demon Lord spoke, voice resonating through dimensions, carrying weight that made buildings crack. The Slayer. We meet at last. Hell's songs speak of you. The unchained predator, the doom of demons, the one who cannot be corrupted or killed. Talking wastes time, the Slayer replied. Surrender or die. Choose now. I am Malphus, Grand Prince of Hell, commander of 40 legends. I do not surrender to meat given delusions of significance. Malphus, know you. It killed you in dimension 1247 Gamma. Took 47 seconds. Disappointed by repeat performance. The Slayer's BFG began charging, green energy accumulating with a sound like reality screaming. 30 seconds this attempt. Improving efficiency. Malphus roared, and the sound shattered windows across 3 city blocks. Hellfire erupted from the ground, temperatures reaching levels that would vaporize normal humans instantly. The lesser demons charged as one, sacrificing themselves to buy their lord time. The Doomslayer didn't slow down. He waded through the demon swarm like a man walking through rain, crucible carving reality with each swing, gauntleted fists crushing skulls, boots stomping fallen demons into paste. The BFG continued charging, its power building toward critical threshold. Malphus watched, our rage turning to something that might have been concern. You cannot defeat me, Slayer. I am eternal. I am... The BFG fired. The blast wasn't a projectile in conventional sense. It was condensed annihilation given direction, a sphere of green energy that split into tendrils upon contact with demonic essence. The tendrils found every demon in a 100-meter radius, including Malphus, and burned through them with energy that specifically targeted Hell's dimensional fingerprints. The lesser demons simply ceased to exist, their death screams cut short by absolute elimination. Malphus staggered, his volcanic skin cracking, hellfire guttering as the BFG's energy tore through his manifestation. He raised clawed hands, attempting to channel Hell's power for counterattack. The Doomslayer was already moving, using Malphas's momentary incapacitation to close distance. The crucible ignited, and this time, when it struck, it cut through a demon lord's essence like it was designed to do, because it was designed exactly for that purpose, forged in dimensions where killing gods was Tuesday afternoon work. Malphas's roar became a scream, then a whimper, then silence. His physical form collapsed, and something essential, the demon's true self, the part that existed across dimensions, was severed from existence. Not banished to hell, not imprisoned, ended. The Slayer stood in the center of devastation, BFG cooling, crucible still active, surrounded by demon remains that were already deteriorating into ash. His armor absorbed the lingering Argent energy, power reserves climbing, systems upgrading in real time through absorbed essence. No, 32 seconds, he reported to Batman's comm. Efficiency degrading. Need to train more. Batman stared at the screen, processing what he'd just witnessed. A demon lord, the kind of entity that required the entire Justice League Dark working in concert to banish, had been eliminated in half a minute by one warrior with equipment that made Earth's most advanced technology look like stone tools. Slayer, what's your current power level? Batman asked, already knowing he wouldn't like the answer. Nominal. Armor absorbs significant Argent energy from Demon Lord, operating at approximately 140% standard capacity. Energy levels declining to baseline over next 6 hours unless engaged in additional combat. You get stronger by killing demons. Correct. Argent energy absorption mechanic. More powerful the demon, I'm more energy absorbed. Why hell fears me? Become more dangerous the longer they fight me. Self-defeating strategy from their perspective. Alfred leaned closer to the screen. Master Bruce, if he's this powerful after one demon lord, what happens if he faces multiple high-tier threats? What's his upper limit? Unknown. During Hell's invasion of Mars facility, killed Titan-class demon while operating at estimated 300% capacity. Theoretical maximum unknown. Never reached limit before energy dissipated naturally. Batman filed that information away with growing concern. The Doomslayer wasn't just powerful, he was a threat that scaled with opposition, becoming exponentially more dangerous the more demons he fought. It was brilliant design for demon killing, but it also meant if he ever went rogue, stopping him would become harder the more force they used against him. Gotham clear, the Slayer reported. Demon signatures eliminated, moving to... He paused, and when he continued, something in his voice suggested surprise. Detecting anomalous energy signature, not demonic. Similar to boom tube technology, but wrong frequency. Analyzing. Batman's fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up energy readings from the East End. What he saw made his blood run cold. That's Apocalypse technology. Slayer, you've attracted attention from... The boom tube opened with the characteristic sound of mother box manipulation, but this wasn't new Genesis technology. This was its dark mirror, Apocalypse, where Darkseid turned science into tyranny. 3 figures emerged from the portal. Granny Goodness, matron of Apocalypse's torture institutions, her face twisted in perpetual sadistic glee. Desaad, master torturer, whose existence was dedicated to perfecting suffering. And between them, something that made even Batman's exceptional composure crack. A Parademon. But not the mindless cannon fodder Darkseid typically deployed. This one wore armor similar to the Doomslayer's aesthetic. Dark green and bronze, weapons integrated into its form, eyes that suggested intelligence rather than programmed rage. Well, well, Granny Goodness said, voice dripping false sweetness. Darkseid sends his regards, Demon Killer. He's been watching your performance with great interest. Such efficiency, such dedication, such wonderful capacity for violence. You'd make an excellent addition to Apocalypse's forces. The Doomslayer said nothing, but his weapons activated. Shotgun in hand, yep, BFG mag locked to armor, crucible ready. Desaad smiled, the expression somehow worse than any demon's grimace. Oh, don't be hasty. We're here to make an offer. Darkseid recognizes talent when he sees it. Join Apocalypse. Fight demons across the multiverse with resources beyond your current arsenal. Motherbox technology. Boom tube mobility. Parademon armies under your command. Think of the efficiency. The demons you could kill with Apocalypse backing you. Answer is no, the Slayer said flatly. You haven't heard the terms yet, Granny Goodness protested. We're prepared to be quite generous. Your own world to govern as you see fit. Unlimited access to hell dimensions for your hobby. Even clone bodies for demon possession recovery. We could save the hosts you're currently forced to kill. All we ask in return is your service to Darkseid. The simple transaction. Batman's comm crackled to life on emergency frequency. Superman's voice strained. Batman, we have Apocalypse representatives in multiple cities. They're approaching heroes with recruitment offers. What's happening? Darkseid is trying to recruit the Doomslayer, Batman replied, watching the confrontation through sensor feeds. He sees him as an asset to claim. Can we stop this? I don't think we need to, Batman said, studying the Slayer's body language. Watch. The Doomslayer looked at the Parademon in Praetor suit-style armor, then at Granny Goodness and Desaad. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of eons. Recognize Apocalypse. Encountered new gods before. High Father of New Genesis offered alliance. Refused. Darkseid offers recruitment. Also refuse. Don't serve gods. Don't serve demons. I don't serve anyone. You serve humanity, Desaad pointed out. Is that not service? Choose to protect. Different from service. Service implies authority over me. No authority exists except mission. The Slayer's shotgun rose slightly. Leave. Now. While leaving remains option. Granny Goodness's expression hardened, false sweetness evaporating. You dare threaten emissaries of Darkseid? The Lord of Apocalypse could unmake you with a thought. Know about Omega beams. Fast, precise, impressive, also predictable. Fought energy-tracking weapons before. Survived. The Slayer's helmet tilted. Darkseid strong. Respect the power. But if he wants me dead or captured, he comes himself, not sends you. The Parademon in modified armor stepped forward, weapons activating. Lord Darkseid commanded we bring you back. Willing or broken? In your choice. Choose option 3. The Slayer moved. What happened next occurred too fast for normal observation. Batman's cowl slowed the footage down, analyzing frame by frame. The Slayer closed distance faster than the Parademon could track. His gauntlet caught the creature's weapon arm, twisted, and the limb separated with mechanical precision. The shotgun fired point-blank into the Parademon's chest, and the resulting blast destroyed Apocalypse armor that should have withstood tank shells. Granny Goodness attempted to activate a mother box, calling for reinforcements. The Doomslayer's other hand caught her wrist, crushed it, and liberated the mother box with brutal efficiency. He examined it briefly, technology assessment running in real time, then threw it through the still-open boom tube. Tell Darkseid, not interested, not afraid. I'm not recruitable. The Slayer pointed his shotgun at Desaad, who'd been slowly backing toward the boom tube. Also tell him, if Apocalypse interferes with demon-killing mission, Apocalypse becomes target. I've killed gods before. Kill more if necessary. Desaad fled through the boom tube, Granny Goodness following despite her crushed wrist. The boom tube collapsed, leaving only the destroyed Parademon as evidence of the confrontation. The Doomslayer stood in silence for a moment, then activated his comm. Batman, expect Apocalypse to escalate. Darkseid doesn't accept rejection well. Analyzed motherbox technology, comparable to my boom tube generation, but different philosophical approach. Interesting design. We'll investigate further. You just threatened Darkseid, Batman said, voice carefully controlled. One of the most powerful beings in existence. A god who conquered entire worlds. Yes? And you're not concerned about retaliation? Concerned, not afraid. Difference matters. The Slayer examined the destroyed Parademon, already salvaging components. Apocalypse technology uses anti-life equation principles, corruption through mathematical certainty that free will is illusion. Interesting approach. Won't work on me. Equation assumes subject has life to corrupt. I'm already dead inside, just animated by mission. The casual delivery of that statement, acknowledging his own psychological death as tactical advantage, made even Batman pause. Alfred's voice was quiet. Dear God, he's not a warrior anymore. He's a weapon that achieved sentience and decided to keep being a weapon because nothing else exists for him. On screen, saw the Doomslayer finish salvaging what he could from the Parademon, mag-locking components to his armor for later analysis. Moving to next incursion site, Tokyo signatures cleared by Superman, London cleared by Wonder Woman, São Paulo still active, redirecting to Brazil, will eliminate demons, then discuss apocalypse threat with League. Slayer, wait, Batman called. We need to talk about what just happened. You've made enemy of hell eons ago, made enemy of apocalypse today, adds to list, not concerned. The Slayer activated his own boom tube. When had he integrated that technology? And paused before entering. Batman. Question. If you could kill Joker, prevent all future murders he'll commit, would you? The question hung in the air like a blade. Batman's silence was answer enough. No answer, the Slayer said. You won't kill him because you believe mercy matters more than mathematics. Respect the conviction. Don't share it. Different wars, different calculus. But respect that you chose your path and walk it completely. He stepped toward the boom tube. I chose mine. Demons and gods die the same when purpose is absolute. Then he was gone, leaving Batman staring at empty screens while reports flooded in from across the globe. Demon incursions declining, hero casualties minimal, and apocalypse representatives retreating from Earth after unsuccessful recruitment attempts. Alfred, Batman said quietly, start a new file. Project Slayer. I need contingency plans for if he ever decides humans are the problem. You believe he might? I believe he's redefined himself so completely around killing demons that if someone convinced him humans had become demons, or that humanity was the vector for demonic corruption, he wouldn't hesitate. Batman pulled up psychological profiles, combat data, power scaling estimates. He's not evil. He might be the purest expression of good I've ever encountered. Absolute dedication to protecting humanity from hell itself. But that same purity makes him dangerous. No compromise, no hesitation, no consideration of collateral damage beyond mission parameters. The road to hell paved with good intentions, as they say. Except he's already been to hell, conquered it, killed his way through it for eons. Batman's expression was grim. What happens when someone that pure decides Earth needs cleansing? What happens when the demon killer decides humans are the real problem? Alfred had no answer, and Batman didn't expect one. Instead, he watched the global map as demon signatures continued declining, each one eliminated by heroes coordinating across the planet. The Doomslayer appeared in São Paulo, his boom tube depositing him directly into the largest demon concentration, and the slaughter resumed with mechanical efficiency. Somewhere in the depths of space, on a planet covered in fire and twisted machinery, Darkseid sat on his throne and watched the Doomslayer's performance through omniscient observation. His stone face showed no expression, but his hands gripped the armrest with force that cracked even Apocalypse stone. Dies ad, Darkseid's voice resonated through the throne room. This Doomslayer, analysis. A weapon forged in hell to kill demons, my lord. Psychologically broken, remade into singular purpose. Incorruptible through virtue of having nothing left to corrupt. Anti-life equation would fail against him. He has already embraced the death of self. Then he cannot be recruited. No, my lord. He threatened me, claimed he would kill gods if necessary. Yes, my lord. His combat record suggests the threat is credible. Darkseid's eyes blazed red, Omega effect building behind them. Then he dies, or he serves. No third option exists. Prepare the Parademon armies, and contact Kalibak. Tell him I have new prey for him to hunt. Desaad bowed, retreating, leaving Darkseid alone with his thoughts and his rage. The Doomslayer had rejected Apocalypse, had threatened its lord. That could not stand. But Darkseid was patient. He'd conquered civilizations through strategy as much as power. If the Slayer couldn't be corrupted or recruited, there were other approaches. Everyone had weaknesses. Everyone had pressure points. Even weapons forged in hell. Darkseid just needed to find which lever would move this particular immovable object. The House of Mystery materialized in Gotham's Harbor District because John Constantine willed it there. and the house went where Constantine needed it to go, usually somewhere with good pubs and bad decisions nearby. Tonight it appeared in an abandoned warehouse that smelled of salt water and old crimes, its impossible architecture folding through dimensions in ways that made normal geometry weep. Mark Constantine stood at the entrance, cigarette dangling from his lips, waiting. The Doomslayer arrived via boom tube, stepping from dimensional transit into the warehouse with weapons active and threat assessment running. He scanned the House of Mystery, his armor systems attempting to categorize architecture that existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously, then looked at Constantine with eyes that had seen too much to be impressed by mere impossible buildings. Magician, the Slayer acknowledged. Why summon me? Constantine took a long drag, exhaled smoke that formed sigils in the air before dissipating. Because we need to have a chat, mate. The kind that doesn't happen with the Justice League watching through sensors and Superman hovering nearby with his concerned face on. He gestured toward the house. Come in. The house won't let demons cross the threshold, so you can actually relax for 5 bloody minutes. Don't relax. Relaxation is tactical vulnerability. Course it is. Constantine turned, walking into the house without checking if the Slayer followed. But even weapons need maintenance, yeah? Come inside before I decide this conversation isn't worth the effort. The Doomslayer considered for exactly 2 seconds, then followed. The House of Mystery's interior was larger than its exterior, filled with artifacts that predated human civilization and smelled of old magic and older whiskey. Zatanna sat at a table covered in occult texts, her stage magician's outfit somehow both theatrical and practical. Dr. Fate stood near a window that showed views of dimensions Earth didn't have names for, and the golden helmet of Nabu reflecting light that hadn't been invented yet. Etrigan the demon crouched in a corner, his rhyming speech temporarily silent as he studied the Doomslayer with eyes that had seen hell's deepest pits. Welcome to Justice League Dark's headquarters, Constantine said, pouring himself whiskey that probably cost more than most people's cars. The grown-ups table, where we deal with magical shite the main league can't handle. You've met some of us. Constantine, John. That's Zatanna, stage magician and actual sorceress. Dr. Fate, Lord of Order wearing a human called Kent Nelson. And the demon in the corner is Etrigan, who's about as close to friendly as demons get. Not friendly, Etrigan rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. But bound to human, cursed to be, is Hell's warrior with humanity's plea. The Doomslayer's weapons remained active, tracking Etrigan with the focus of someone who'd killed thousands of demons and would happily add one more. Demon, in room. Explain before I eliminate. He's bound to a human host named Jason Blood, Zatanna said quickly, hands moving to defensive spell positions. They share the same body. Kill him. You kill an innocent man who's been fighting evil for centuries. The Slayer's helmet tilted, scanning Etrigan with technology that could measure demonic corruption at quantum levels. After a moment, his weapons lowered slightly, not deactivated, but no longer actively targeting. Scan shows symbiotic relationship, unusual. Human consciousness remains dominant. Demon integrated rather than consuming. He looked at Constantine. Why show me this? Because you need to understand that magic makes things complicated, mate. Constantine sat at the table, gesturing for the Slayer to join them. Your demon-killing crusade is impressive, terrifying, possibly psychotic, but it's also going to run into situations where kill all demons isn't the right answer. Etrigan's proof. So's Raven from the Teen Titans, daughter of Trigon but fights against her nature every bloody day. Hell, even Constantine here has demon blood in the family tree somewhere. You start killing anything with Hell's fingerprints, you're going to murder people who don't deserve it. The Doomslayer stood rather than sat, posture suggesting he could violence his way out of this room in under 3 seconds if necessary. Scanned both entities. Etrigan, 73% demonic integration, but human will remains dominant, different from possession. Acknowledge difference. Raven, half demon genetics, but choice remains hers. Not corrupted, not threat. Targeting protocols account for allied demons and demon-human hybrids. I'm not indiscriminate killer, just efficient one. Zatanna's posture relaxed slightly. You can actually differentiate? Your scanning technology is that sophisticated? fought demons across dimensions, encountered every variation: possession, integration, hybridization, summoning, manifestation. Learned to measure free will retention, consciousness dominance, corruption percentage. Kill only what's past saving or actively threatening. The Slayer's helmet turned toward Dr. Fate. Lord of Order. Nabu, the Wise. Know of you. Fought alongside Order Lords in Dimension 543 Epsilon. Respect the mission. Also know you wear human host. Kent Nelson volunteers. Maintains autonomy. When Dr. Fate spoke, his voice resonated with layered tones, human and divine speaking simultaneously. Kent Nelson chose to wear the helmet of Nabu, though the choice comes with cost. We are partners, not master and slave. But I sense you ask for reasons beyond courtesy. Ask because need to understand this dimension's rules. Met gods, demons, magic users. All blur lines between enemy and ally. Need clarity before make mistakes. The Slayer's posture shifted, something that might have been exhaustion showing through. Made mistakes before, early in mission. Killed possessed who might have been saved. Took decades to refine scanning, develop separation technology. Carry those deaths. Don't want to carry more. The admission hung in the air like a confession. Yet Constantine's eyebrows rose slightly. This was more vulnerability than he'd expected from someone who threatened Darkseid and killed demon lords for sport. You actually care, Zatanna said softly. Underneath the armor and the violence, you still care about saving people. Caring is liability. Emotions slow tactical response. But the Slayer paused, and when he continued, his voice carried weight from eons of memory. Mission is protect humanity. Can't protect by killing indiscriminately. Precision matters. Accuracy matters. Every innocent death is mission failure, even if demons still die. Constantine stubbed out his cigarette and immediately lit another. Right. Okay, I can work with that. You're not a psychotic murder machine. You're a highly functional trauma survivor who's weaponized his PTSD into the universe's most effective demon extermination protocol. That's somehow worse and better simultaneously. Trauma survived is strength, the Slayer said. Pain without purpose is waste. Converted pain into power, power into protection, efficient use of resources. That's the most depressing thing I've heard all week, and I spent Tuesday in Hell's third circle watching gluttons eat themselves. Constantine drained his whiskey, poured another. But here's why we actually called you here. We need to discuss what happened at Arkham. You killed 10 people. The Justice League's splitting over whether you're asset or threat. Superman wants to contain you. Wonder Woman wants to test you. Batman wants to understand you. And I need to know if you're going to be a problem for magical operations. Explain problem. Magic users work differently than the main league, Zatanna said, pulling up images of previous magical crises. We deal with demons regularly, summoning, binding, banishing, negotiating. Sometimes we make deals with Hell's representatives to prevent larger catastrophes. Constantine's famous for it. He's literally traded pieces of his soul to multiple demon lords to keep humanity safe. If you start killing every demon we're negotiating with, our operations collapse. The Doom Slayer's helmet tilted toward Constantine. Traded soul pieces to demons. Explain logic. Simple, mate. I con them. Sell my soul to 3 different demon lords, now they all have competing claims. When I die, which'll hopefully be never, but probably eventually, they'll fight each other over ownership. While they're distracted fighting, I slip away. Meanwhile, I got magical favors, information, power boosts, all for promises I never intend to keep. Constantine grinned, the expression sharp and dangerous. It's called being a bastard for the greater good. Risky, clever, ultimately self-destructive. The Slayer's assessment was delivered without judgment. But understand strategy. Demons arrogant. Assume humans can't outthink them. Use arrogance against them. Respect the tactic. Does that mean you won't kill demons we're actively negotiating with? Depends. Are negotiations legitimate or delaying tactic? Constantine and Zatanna exchanged glances. Sometimes legitimate, Zatanna admitted. We've made binding pacts that kept worse things from manifesting. Other times, or yes, We're stalling while we prepare real countermeasures. Then protocol. Inform me before negotiations. Transmit demon identities, negotiation parameters. I verify demons honor agreements. If they betray terms, I eliminate. If they honor terms, I tolerate temporarily. Agreement? Dr. Fate's helmet glowed brighter, Nabu's ancient intelligence processing this. You would trust our judgment, allow demons to exist if we deem it necessary? Trust competence, not judgment. Magic users survive this long dealing with hell, proves competence. But verify. Trust without verification is how dimensions fall. The Slayer pulled up his holographic display, showing a list that made Constantine's expression go pale. These are demon entities currently operating on Earth under various magical binding pacts. Scan them. 23 total. Require briefing on each, purpose, binding terms, expiration conditions, threat assessment. Constantine stared at the list. How did you... Some of those are my personal projects, secret projects, hidden behind magical wards that should be impenetrable. Nothing impenetrable to sufficient scanning technology. Praetor Suit analyzes magical signatures, cross-references dimensional databases, identifies patterns. The Slayer highlighted one entry. This one, Nergal, Constantine's personal demon nemesis. Currently bound by contract signed in blood, terms expire in 3 years. Explain why this demon remains alive. Constantine's jaw tightened. Nergal holds information about a future apocalypse event. Kill him, lose the intel. Simple math. Information extractable through other means. Torture, memory extraction, soul reading. And why negotiate instead? Because those methods corrupt the user, Dr. Fate interjected, his voice resonant with divine authority. Order requires balance. We cannot fight darkness by becoming darkness. The methods you suggest would transform magic users into the very evil they oppose. The Doomslayer was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried something that might have been bitter amusement. Already had this argument, with myself. Eons ago. Decided becoming monster acceptable if monsters die. You decided differently, respect the conviction. He highlighted another demon on his list. But this one, Beelzebub manifestation in human trafficking operation. No legitimate purpose, just feeding on suffering. Why still exists? Zatanna's expression darkened. We've been building a case, gathering evidence to perform proper banishment ritual. If we attack prematurely, he escapes to another host and we start over. We're close to 3 weeks you've been close. Meanwhile, 73 humans trafficked, 14 dead from abuse, others corrupted beyond recovery. The Slayer's voice went flat. Unacceptable timeline. We'll eliminate tonight unless you provide compelling tactical reason for delay. The compelling reason is that we need to seal the dimensional breach he's using, Constantine snapped. Kill him now. The breach remains open. Another demon just manifests in his place. We're preparing a ritual that closes the breach permanently while banishing him. That takes time and materials we're still acquiring. What materials? Virgin's blood, blessed under new moon, ceremonial blade forged in dragonfire, and a feather from an angel who's witnessed the fall of Lucifer. The blade's ready, the blood we can acquire next week, but the feather... The Doomslayer reached into a compartment on his armor and withdrew a single white feather that radiated divine light. Angel feather. Acquired from Dimension 789 Beta. Angel fought beside me against Hell's armies, fell in battle, kept feather as memorial. He placed it on the table. Witnessed Lucifer's fall? Unknown. But Angel witnessed billions of falls. Demons falling to my weapons. Should qualify. The room went silent. Zatanna reached toward the feather with trembling hands, magical senses confirming what her eyes told her. Genuine angelic essence, preserved through technology she couldn't comprehend, offered freely to complete a ritual that would save lives. You're helping us, she said, a voice barely above whisper. You're actually helping us instead of just killing everything. Helping is efficient. Ritual closes breach permanently. My method kills demon, but breach remains. Your method superior long-term. Logical to support superior tactics. The Slayer paused. Also, Angel was friend. Only friend in 800 years of fighting. Died protecting human evacuation. Would want feather used to save humans. Honors memory. Constantine picked up the feather, examining it with expert eyes, then looked at the Doomslayer with new understanding. You had a friend. Someone you cared about enough to keep memorial. You're not completely dead inside. Was friend. Past tense. Friends die. Demons kill them. Learned lesson. No more friends. Just allies. Allies you can lose without mission compromising. The Slayer's voice was steady, emotionless, but underneath it, Constantine detected something he recognized from his own mirror. Someone who'd lost so much that caring became survival liability. Right, Constantine said quietly. Right. Well, we'll use this for the ritual, and in exchange we'll brief you on all active magical operations involving demons. Full transparency. You verify we're not being idiots, we verify you're not being genocidal. Sound fair? Fair. But add condition. If operations fail, if demons betray, I eliminate immediately. No second chances, no hoping for better outcomes. Betrayal equals death. Agreed, Dr. Fate said, his divine authority making the word binding. Justice League Dark will maintain transparency with the Doomslayer regarding demonic operations. In return, the Slayer will respect our magical protocols unless immediate threat supersedes our authority. This pact is witnessed by order itself. The air shimmered as Fate's words became reality, magical bindings settling over the agreement like invisible chains. The Doomslayer didn't flinch, had probably been in enough magical contracts to recognize what was happening, but his posture shifted slightly in acknowledgement. Etrigan uncurled from his corner, approaching the table with movements that suggested predatory grace. A pact with Hell's greatest bane? How curious, strange, and quite insane. But Etrigan will honor deal. For Slayer's purpose we can feel. Kills demons not for sport or pride, but innocence to keep from Hell's dark tide. Demon understands, the Slayer said. Appreciate clarity. Rare in magical communities. Usually riddles and metaphor. That's because magical communities are pretentious gits, Constantine said, pouring whiskey for everyone who'd drink it. But you're right. Cards on table? We deal with demons because sometimes it's the only way to prevent apocalypses. We hate it. We know it's dangerous. But we're trying to save a world that doesn't understand what we sacrifice to keep them safe. He raised his glass. You're doing the same thing. Different methods, same goal. So here's to being bastards for the greater good. The Doomslayer didn't drink. Couldn't, with his helmet sealed. But he inclined his head in acknowledgement. Zatanna raised her glass. Dr. Fate didn't drink, but projected approval through ambient magic. Etrigan lapped whiskey from a bowl like some demonic cat. One more thing, Constantine said after draining his glass. Apocalypse. You threatened Darkseid. That's either the bravest or stupidest thing I've heard this century, and I'm not sure which. You know he's going to retaliate? No. Analyzed apocalypse, technology, military capacity, Darkseid's power profile. Threat level significant but manageable. Fought new gods before. Killed rogue new god in Dimension 445-Gamma. Technique adaptable to Darkseid. You killed a new god? Zatanna's voice was flat with disbelief. An actual new god. The literal embodiments of concepts given divine form. Killed several. Gods not invincible. Just very difficult to kill. Require specific tactics. Weapons designed for divine essence elimination. Praetor suit equipped for deity combat. BFG effective against divine manifestations. Crucible can sever divine tethers. The Slayer's matter-of-fact delivery made it worse. He wasn't boasting, just stating capabilities like reading equipment specifications. Constantine laughed, the sound slightly manic. Bloody hell, you're actually not worried about Darkseid. You fought things like him before and won. We're all panicking about you making enemies of Apocalypse and you're just… Tuesday afternoon for you, innit? Darkseid dangerous. Would prefer avoiding conflict. But if conflict inevitable, will engage with full capacity. Question. Justice League Dark has intel on Apocalypse's magical vulnerabilities? New gods susceptible to specific magic types? Zatanna pulled up her own reference materials, sharing data about New God metaphysics. They exist as archetypes as much as physical beings. Darkseid is tyranny incarnate. Now you can hurt his manifestation, but killing his concept is nearly impossible. He's died before and just recreated himself from the universal need for oppression. Understand. Killed conceptual entities before. Require different approach than physical elimination. Must eliminate concept simultaneously with manifestation. Difficult, not impossible. Will research methods. The Slayer's helmet turned toward the window, showing impossible dimensions. But prefer Darkseid leave Earth alone. Have enough enemies without adding new god pantheon. Then maybe don't threaten god kings in front of their emissaries, Constantine suggested dryly. Didn't threaten. Stated tactical reality. If Apocalypse interferes with mission, becomes obstacle. Obstacles require removal. Simple mathematics. The Slayer moved toward the door. Briefing concluded. We'll implement transparency protocol with Justice League Dark. Transmit active demon operation data to my systems. We'll verify, provide tactical analysis, intervene only if operations compromise or demons betray. He paused at the threshold, looking back at the gathered magic users. Constantine. Question. Yeah, mate? You trade soul pieces to demons. Con them into competing claims. Eventually, they realize deception. What's exit strategy when they do? Constantine's grin was sharp and desperate in equal measure. Haven't figured that out yet. Why, you offering to kill them for me when the bill comes due. If you honor current agreement, if you prove competent in demon management, if you continue protecting humanity through magical operations, the Slayer's voice carried something that might have been approval. Then yes. When your cons fail and demons come collecting, I'll kill them. Consider it insurance policy for transparency cooperation. Then he was gone. Boom tube swallowing him before Constantine could respond. The room fell silent except for Etrigan's rumbling laughter. Did he just, Zatanna said slowly, offer to save Constantine from the consequences of Constantine's terrible decisions? I think he did, Constantine replied, staring at the space where the Slayer had stood. I think the universe's most efficient demon killer just became my life insurance policy. That's either brilliant or I'm hallucinating. Possibly both. Dr. Fate's helmet glowed thoughtfully. He recognizes competence and rewards it with loyalty. Beneath the trauma and the violence, he still understands alliance building. Height still remembers how to value people who share his mission. His only friend was an angel who died 800 years ago, Zatanna said quietly. And he's been alone since then. Fighting for eons with no companionship except the mission. That's... She couldn't finish. Didn't need to. That's what happens when you become the weapon instead of the wielder, Constantine said, lighting another cigarette. You forget how to be human. Forget how to connect. Forget everything except the mission. He exhaled smoke that formed sigils of protection before dissipating. We need to make sure he doesn't forget completely. Because the day the Doomslayer decides humanity isn't worth protecting anymore, that's the day we lose our best defense against hell. In orbit, the Doomslayer stood on the Watchtower's observation deck, watching Earth rotate below. His armor systems ran continuous scans, identifying potential demonic incursion points, analyzing magical energy fluctuations, monitoring for apocalypse activity. Batman approached from behind, silent as shadows, but the Slayer's sensors detected him anyway. League Dark briefing successful? Yes. Established transparency protocol. Will coordinate on demon-related operations. More efficient than operating independently. Good. Batman stood beside him, looking at Earth with the eyes of someone who dedicated his life to protecting it. Slayer. Question. What happens when you've killed all the demons? When hell is empty and humanity is safe? What happens to you? The Doomslayer was silent for a long moment, watching the planet spin below. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of eons. Mission never ends. Hell is infinite. Demons are infinite. We'll fight until I die or until heat death of universe, whichever comes first. No retirement, no peace, just mission, continuing, forever. That's not living. No, the Slayer agreed. But someone has to. Better me than someone who still has life left to lose. The attack came 3 days later, when Earth's defenses were spread thin and the Justice League was dealing with simultaneous crises across 4 continents. Darkseid didn't believe in fair fights. He believed in overwhelming force applied with strategic precision. The boom tubes opened in 17 locations simultaneously, disgorging Parademon armies that had been specifically engineered for one purpose: kill or capture the Doomslayer. My Batman saw it coming 60 seconds before the first boom tube activated. The Watchtower's sensors detected apocalypse energy signatures building across the planet, power levels that suggested Darkseid wasn't sending scouts. He was sending an invasion force. All League members, Code Omega, Batman transmitted on emergency frequency. Apocalypse invasion. Multiple vectors. Primary target appears to be the Doomslayer. Defend civilian populations first, engage Parademons second. Where's the Slayer? Gotham, Alfred's voice came through. He's been patrolling the city for the past 6 hours. Quite thorough, actually. Crime rates dropped 47% simply because criminals are too terrified to operate while he's walking the streets. Redirect him to... Batman paused, tactical mind racing. Darkseid wanted the Slayer. He's sending him to defend other locations would leave those cities vulnerable when parademons followed. But keeping him in Gotham meant concentrating Apocalypse forces in a civilian-dense area. Alfred, tell him to head to the Arctic, away from population centers. We'll evacuate Gotham and let Darkseid's forces chase him to empty territory. I suspect he won't cooperate with that plan, Master Bruce. I know. Tell him anyway. In Gotham's Bowery, the Doomslayer stood atop a building that had seen better decades, his armor's sensors detecting the incoming boom tubes before they fully manifested. 17 portals. Estimated parademon count. 4,000 plus heavy assault variants. Power signatures suggesting Darkseid sent elite forces, not standard cannon fodder. His comm crackled with Batman's transmission. When the Slayer listened to the evacuation suggestion, processed it for exactly 2 seconds, then responded, "Negative. Parademons follow me to Arctic. Leave Earth vulnerable. Darkseid sends second wave to populated areas while I'm isolated. Standard divide and conquer. Better strategy. I engage here, kill parademons. Send message to Darkseid that Earth is defended territory. The civilian casualties will minimize. Have fought in populated areas before. Collateral damage protocols active. Beginning evacuation now." The Slayer activated his armor's external speakers, voice amplified to carry across 6 city blocks. Apocalypse invasion imminent. Evacuate East Gotham immediately. This is not drill. You have 5 minutes. The response was predictable. Gotham's citizens, having survived Joker attacks, Bane's takeover, and countless other catastrophes, knew when to run. The streets filled with fleeing civilians while the Slayer marked evacuation routes, transmitted data to Gotham PD, and prepared defensive positions. The first boom tube opened above Robinson Park. Parademons poured through like a plague of armored locusts, their shrieks designed to instill fear, their weapons charged with energy that could level buildings. They spotted the Slayer immediately, tactical markers apparently painted on his armor at Darkseid's command, and the swarm descended with single-minded purpose. The BFG 9000 spoke first. The weapon's discharge turned night into green-tinged day, the massive energy sphere splitting into tendrils that found every parademon in a 100-meter radius. The creatures had been engineered to withstand Kryptonian heat vision, Amazon god swords, Green Lantern constructs. They hadn't been engineered to withstand weapons designed specifically to kill divine entities. 50 parademons simply stopped existing. The rest of the swarm hesitated, a survival instinct bred out of most parademon units but apparently retained in these elite variants. They recognized Predator when they saw it. Then Kalibak arrived. The boom tube that deposited Darkseid's sun onto Gotham's soil was larger than the others, reinforced to handle the transport of someone who stood 8 feet tall and massed more than a small vehicle. Kalibak the Cruel, wielder of the Beta Club, conqueror of worlds, looked at the Doomslayer with eyes that promised violence. The so-called demon killer, Kalibak's voice was like grinding tectonic plates. Father said you threatened him. Said you needed to be taught respect. I will enjoy this lesson. The Doomslayer assessed the threat. New God physiology, strength class comparable to Superman, durability enhanced by Apocalypse technology. Beta Club generates energy capable of stunning Kryptonians. Threat level, significant. Strategy, test capabilities, identify weaknesses, eliminate efficiently. Kalibak, the Slayer acknowledged. Son of Darkseid, killed you in Dimension 892 Omega. Took 4 minutes, will improve time. Kalibak roared and charged, Beta Club swinging an arc that would pulverize concrete. The Doomslayer didn't dodge. Dodging was inefficient when you could tank. He caught the Beta Club mid-swing with one gauntleted hand, armor absorbing the energy discharge, and Kalibak's expression shifted from rage to surprise. Impossible! I'm the Beta Club's power. The Slayer's other fist drove into Kalibak's solar plexus with force that created a visible shockwave. The new god staggered backward, armor cracking, and the Doomslayer pressed the advantage. Close quarters combat, exploiting the split-second vulnerability, applying violence with surgical precision. From the Watchtower, the Justice League watched in stunned silence as the Doomslayer fought Kalibak the Cruel to a standstill. Superman's tactical analysis ran continuously, identifying strike patterns that suggested the Slayer had fought new gods before and learned their weaknesses. Wonder Woman recognized warrior techniques adapted from countless battles, refined through repetition until combat became mathematics. He's fighting a new god hand-to-hand, Flash said, voice carrying disbelief. RG not just surviving, actually winning. His armor's absorbing the Beta Club's energy, Cyborg reported, sensors tracking the battle. Every hit Kalibak lands makes the Slayer stronger. It's the same principle as his demon killing. He gets stronger by fighting. Batman watched, mind cataloging everything. He's not trying to kill Kalibak. He's sending a message, demonstrating that Earth has defenders who can match Apocalypse force for force. On Gotham's streets, the Doomslayer drove Kalibak backward through a building, the new god's body creating an impromptu entrance and exit. Parademons swarmed to support their commander, and the Slayer's weapons activated in sequence. Shotgun for close-range swarms, plasma rifle for mid-range targets, crucible for anything that got within melee distance. Kalibak emerged from the rubble, bleeding from a dozen wounds that would have killed mortals, and his expression had shifted from confidence to something approaching respect. You fight well, Demon Killer. Father underestimated you. But you face Apocalypse's might. You cannot... A red lantern ring shot through the air like a meteor, targeting the Doomslayer with unerring precision. The ring's construct voice spoke in tones that burned with rage. Doomslayer of Earth, you possess great rage. You belong to the Red Lantern Corps. The ring attached itself to the Slayer's gauntlet, attempting to interface with his nervous system, to tap into the rage that fueled him. For 3 seconds, red energy flickered around his armor, the ring's power seeking purchase in his emotions. Then the Praetor suit's systems activated countermeasures. Energy discharge pulsed through the armor, disrupting the ring's connection. The Slayer grabbed the Red Lantern ring with his other hand and physically crushed it, the construct shattering into fragments that dissipated into red mist. His helmet turned slightly, sensors tracking the source. Atrocitus, leader of the Red Lantern Corps, watched from orbit with an expression of shock. Ring rejected, the Slayer reported to Batman's comm. Emotional spectrum manipulation ineffective. Praetor suit includes countermeasures for emotion-based attacks. Learned necessity in Dimension 778 Lambda, where enemy used weaponized despair. Kalibak used the distraction to recover, Beta Club charging for killing blow. But the Doomslayer had been tracking him through secondary sensors, and when the weapon descended, it met the crucible rising. Energy Blade versus Energy Club, both designed to hurt gods, and the resulting clash created a shockwave that shattered windows across 3 blocks. You're strong, Kalibak admitted, pushing against the crucible with Beta Club, both weapons grinding against each other. Stronger than Father anticipated, but strength alone won't save you when the real attack begins. More boom tubes opened. Not parademons this time. Darkseid's female furies. Granny Goodness with her wrist healed, leading Big Barda's evil counterpart Mad Harriet, Lashina with her steel whips, Stampa, whose footsteps cracked pavement, and Bernadette wielding the Farron knife that burned hotter than stars. The Furies! Constantine's voice crackled through the comm, having been monitoring from the House of Mystery. Slayer, those aren't regular soldiers. They're Apocalypse's elite. Each one's a match for Justice League members. Together they're categorized, the Slayer interrupted, his HUD tagging each Fury with threat assessment and tactical approach. Mad Harriet, enhanced speed, energy claws, counter with predictive targeting. Lashina, whip specialist, control battlefield through area denial, counter with close quarters rush. Stampa, kinetic manipulation, gravitational attacks, counter with aerial assault. Bernadette, Farron knife generates heat exceeding solar core, counter with thermal shielding and rapid elimination. He disengaged from Kalibak with a burst of force that sent both fighters stumbling backward, then activated systems that made Cyborg's sensors go haywire. The Praetor suit's power output tripled, Argent energy reserves channeling into combat buffs, and the Doomslayer became something more than human or machine. Became the living weapon he'd forged himself into across eons of warfare. Mad Harriet attacked first, moving faster than normal vision could track. The Slayer tracked her anyway, predictive algorithms calculating trajectory based on thousands of similar high-speed combatants. His shotgun fired where she would be, not where she was, and the blast caught her mid-leap. She crashed into a building, armor cracked, shocked that anyone could hit her at full speed. Lashina's whips cracked across the battlefield, steel cables that could slice through tank armor. The Slayer didn't dodge. He grappled them, allowing the whips to wrap around his armor, then used them to pull Lashina toward him. She had perhaps 1 second to realize her mistake before his gauntleted fist connected with her helmet, the impact creating a visible dent. Stampa's foot came down, gravitational manipulation creating a shockwave that should have crushed the Slayer into the pavement. His armor's systems compensated, generating counter-gravitational field, and he stood in the epicenter of force that was destroying the street around him. "Interesting technology," he commented, analyzing the gravitational principles. "We'll reverse engineer later." Bernadette lunged with the Farron knife, the weapon that had killed gods, screaming toward the Slayer's chest. He caught her wrist mid-thrust, armor's thermal shielding activating to handle heat that could melt through neutron stars. For 3 seconds they stood locked, the Farron knife inches from his armor, Bernadette straining with new god strength to complete the killing blow. Then the crucible activated in his other hand, and Bernadette's eyes widened as she recognized divine killing technology when she saw it. Wait! The crucible didn't wait. It severed the Farron knife's energy matrix, and the weapon that had served Apocalypse for millennia simply died, power dissipating into harmless light. Bernadette stared at her useless knife, then at the Slayer, then did something the Furies almost never did. She retreated. "He killed the Farron knife." Wonder Woman's voice carried shock through the comm. "That weapon was legendary. It couldn't be destroyed." "Everything can be destroyed," the Doomslayer replied, advancing on the retreating Furies. "Just requires sufficient application of force." He looked at Kalibak, who'd been watching the engagement with growing unease. "Message delivered. Return to Apocalypse. Tell Darkseid, Earth is defended. Future invasions will be met with escalating force. Leave Earth alone, or I come to Apocalypse and kill demons and new gods both." Kalibak's hands tightened on the Beta Club, pride warring with tactical assessment. He was Darkseid's son, bred for conquest, raised to never retreat. But he was also smart enough to recognize when a battle was lost. The Demon Killer had defeated him, defeated the Furies, destroyed legendary weapons, and fought the entire engagement while protecting Gotham's civilian population. "This isn't over," Kalibak said, opening a boom tube for retreat. "Father will hear of this. He will respond. Expected. We'll be ready." The Slayer watched the Furies and Kalibak retreat through the boom tube, watched the remaining parademons follow, watched Apocalypse forces withdraw from Earth. Only when the last boom tube closed did he lower his weapons. The Gotham street was a disaster zone. Buildings damaged, pavement destroyed, Fires burning from energy weapon discharge. But civilian casualties. 0. The Slayer had fought an apocalypse invasion force in the middle of a populated city and managed to protect everyone who'd evacuated, according to his warnings. Batman arrived via Batplane, landing in the devastation, approaching the Slayer with careful steps. You fought Kalibak and the Furies simultaneously, drove them off Earth, destroyed the Farron knife, which was supposed to be indestructible. Not indestructible, just very durable. Everything has breaking point, just need to find it. Darkseid will retaliate. This was a probe, testing your capabilities. Next time he'll come himself or send something worse. No, counting on it. The Slayer's helmet turned toward Batman. Darkseid won't leave Earth alone now, but also won't underestimate Earth's defenses. Bought time for League to prepare. Use it wisely. Wonder Woman landed nearby, followed by Superman, both having rushed to Gotham when the invasion started. Diana studied the battlefield with warrior's eyes, recognizing tactics she'd seen in the wars between Olympus and Apocalypse. "You fought new gods before," she said. It wasn't a question. Yes, Dimension 445-Gamma had pantheon of new gods who fell to demon corruption. Had to eliminate both demons and gods. Learned their weaknesses, combat styles, technological vulnerabilities, applied knowledge here. Superman looked at the damage, at the fires being contained by Gotham's emergency services, at the crowds of civilians who'd survived because someone had warned them to run. You saved everyone. You fought an invasion force that should have leveled the city, and you saved everyone. Mission is protect humanity. Completed mission. The Slayer paused. But Darkseid's next move will be different. Won't send forces. Will send corruption. Try to turn Earth's heroes against each other. Create internal conflicts, weaken from within. Standard New God strategy when direct assault fails. Batman's expression darkened. How do we counter that? Unity, trust, communication, things I'm terrible at. The Slayer looked at each of them in turn. Why you lead? Why League exists? I kill threats. Are you prevent threats from forming? Division of labor. Are you saying you trust us? Wonder Woman asked, something approaching surprise in her voice. Trust is strong word. Respect competence. Acknowledge expertise in areas I lack. Will defer to League on social, political, psychological operations. But demon killing, god fighting, invasion repulsion? The Slayer's weapons mag-locked to his armor. That's my domain. Stay clear, let me work, we'll all survive. A Red Lantern boom tube opened nearby, and Atrocitus emerged, the leader of the Red Lantern Corps studying the Doomslayer with eyes that burned with eternal rage. You destroyed my ring, rejected the red light of rage. How? You possess more rage than any being I've encountered. You should have been the perfect Red Lantern. Rage is fuel, the Slayer said. Not master. I control rage. It doesn't control me. Your ring tried to tap into my rage, amplify it, use it. But my rage is focused, refined, weaponized across eons. Your ring couldn't handle the intensity. Burned out trying. Atrocitus's expression shifted from anger to something approaching respect. You've turned rage into art, into science. The Red Lantern Corps seeks beings who can wield rage as power. You've already achieved what we spend lifetimes pursuing. He manifested a new ring, this one different. Not standard Red Lantern issue, but something custom designed. Take this. Not as member, but as ally. When rage is righteous, when anger serves justice, we could work together. The Doomslayer looked at the offered ring, considered for exactly 3 seconds, then, no. Your core uses rage for power. I use rage for focus. Different philosophies. Art respect yours, keep mine. But if Red Lanterns fight demons, we'll coordinate. Allied operations acceptable. Formal membership declined. Atrocitus withdrew the ring, nodding slowly. A warrior who refuses power when offered freely. Rare. Respectable. If you change your mind, if you ever decide rage needs amplification, the Red Lantern Corps will welcome you. He opened another boom tube. And Doomslayer? When Darkseid returns, and he will return, you have Red Lantern support. Apocalypse has been our enemy for eons. Anything that hurts Darkseid serves our interests. Then he was gone, leaving the Justice League standing in devastated Gotham streets with a demon killer who just fought off Apocalypse and rejected Red Lantern membership in the same hour. "Did you just," Flash said, having arrived late to the battle, "turn down a power ring? Do you know how many people would kill for a power ring? Power without control is liability. Ring amplifies rage but requires emotional vulnerability. Can't afford vulnerability. Mission too important." The Slayer looked at the assembled heroes. Speaking of mission, Global Demon Signature Analysis shows 83 potential manifestation points. Apocalypse invasion likely distracted from Hell's real strategy. They're using Darkseid's attack as cover for infiltration. Batman was already pulling up his tactical display. Where? The Slayer transmitted coordinates, each one a location where demonic energy was building toward critical threshold. Suggest League split into teams. Constantine handles ritual-based manifestations. Zatanna addresses magical breaches. Dr. Fate monitors dimensional stability. Superman, Wonder Woman, our others handle physical manifestations. I'll take highest concentration targets personally. "You're organizing us again," Superman said, but he was smiling slightly. "Taking command without asking. Someone has to. You're powerful but disorganized. I'm less powerful but more experienced. Synergy creates efficiency." The Slayer activated his boom tube. Also, investigated Nurgle situation Constantine mentioned. Demon trafficking operation more extensive than briefed. Transmitting full intelligence to League Dark. Recommend ritual completion within 48 hours before corruption spreads beyond containment. Constantine's voice crackled through the comm. "How did you investigate without me noticing?" "Scanned while talking to you. Multitasking. We'll discuss operational security later." The Slayer stepped toward his boom tube, and then paused. "Good work today, all of you. Gotham's safe because you trusted evacuation protocols, coordinated response, supported operations despite uncertainty about my methods. That's why League works, why Earth survives. Keep doing that." The praise, delivered in emotionless monotone, somehow meant more because it came from someone who didn't give compliments unless they were earned. Then he was gone, leaving the Justice League to coordinate demon hunting operations across the globe while somewhere in orbit. Darkseid watched Earth through omniscient observation and planned his next move against the demon killer who'd rejected his recruitment, defeated his forces, and threatened to invade Apocalypse itself. "Desad," Darkseid's voice resonated through the throne room. "New strategy. If we cannot recruit the Doomslayer, we corrupt what he protects. Send agents to Earth. Human agents. Have them summon demons. Make it look like Earth's heroes are responsible. Turn the Slayer against the Justice League." "Brilliant, my lord. But what if the Slayer's scanning technology identifies the deception?" Darkseid's eyes glowed red with Omega effect building. "Then we escalate until even his technology cannot distinguish friend from foe. We make him choose between protecting Earth and trusting its heroes. And when he chooses wrong," Darkseid's smile was terrible, "we claim him from the ashes of his failure." The first sign of Darkseid's new strategy arrived 48 hours later in the form of a massacre in Metropolis. 27 people dead, their bodies arranged in ritualistic patterns that made Constantine vomit when he saw the crime scene photos. But the demonic summoning circle was precise, professional, and according to all magical forensics, activated from inside LexCorp's experimental research division. Lex Luthor stood in the Watchtower's interrogation room, flanked by lawyers who cost more per hour than most people earned in a year, radiating indignation like a nuclear reactor. "I did not authorize demonic research. I don't traffic with hell. I'm a scientist, not a warlock. This is a frame job, and if the Justice League had any investigative competence, you'd already know that." Batman stood on the other side of the reinforced glass, reviewing the evidence with methodical precision. The summoning circle used materials exclusively available through LexCorp supply chains. The ritual was activated using LexCorp security credentials, Luthor's own credentials, and the security footage showed Lex himself entering the lab 20 minutes before the summoning. "It's too perfect," Batman said quietly. "Luthor is many things, but sloppy isn't one of them. If he wanted to summon demons, we'd never find evidence this obvious." Unless he wanted us to find it, Wonder Woman suggested. Lex has manipulated perceptions before. What better way to prove his innocence than by being so obviously guilty that we assume he's framed? Superman shook his head, arms crossed, watching Lex through the glass with X-ray vision that confirmed no demonic corruption, no possession, nothing except Luthor's usual baseline villainy. I know Lex. He's arrogant, he's ruthless, but he's also pragmatic. Summoning demons in his own facility with his own credentials? That's suicide. Or someone setting him up. The Doomslayer stood apart from them, helmet tilted as he studied Lex through the glass with sensors that could measure soul integrity, demonic taint, dimensional contamination. His analysis ran for 30 seconds before delivering results. No demonic corruption, no possession, no voluntary pact with hell. Security footage analysis shows microtemporal inconsistencies. Footage has been edited at quantum level. Sophisticated. Almost perfect. He looked at Batman. Almost. You can detect quantum-level editing? Praetor's suit includes temporal analysis systems. Fought enemies who manipulated time. Learned to detect alterations. The Slayer pulled up his display, highlighting the inconsistencies invisible to normal analysis. Footage edited approximately 72 hours ago. Real Luthor never entered lab. Someone wearing holographic disguise matching his biometrics entered, performed ritual, edited footage post facto. Batman leaned forward, studying the analysis. Who has technology sophisticated enough to fool LexCorp's security at quantum level? Short list: Apocalypse, Brainiac, time-traveling entities, high-tier magic users with technological augmentation. The Slayer's helmet turned toward the assembled league. This is Darkseid's work, matches his strategic profile. Create division, turn allies against each other, corrupt from within. He's making Earth look like demon, summoning originated from trusted source. To turn you against us, Superman realized, his expression darkening. He wants you to think we're summoning demons, that Earth's heroes are the problem. Correct. If I believe League members summon demons, mission parameters change. Earth becomes threat instead of protected asset. The Slayer's voice carried something that might have been grim approval. Clever strategy. Would work against less experienced operator. But I've seen this tactic in 83 dimensions. Always follows same pattern. Wonder Woman's hand rested on her lasso. What pattern? Frame obvious villain first. Luthor. When that fails, frame less obvious target. Hero with secrets. Someone League already questions. The Slayer's sensors swept across the assembled heroes, analyzing each one. Who in League has History League doesn't fully trust? Who operates in shadows? Who's made morally questionable choices? Every eye turned to Batman. Bruce's expression didn't change, but his posture shifted infinitesimally. You think I'm next? No, you're next. Darkseid's intelligence on Earth is extensive. He knows Batman has contingency plans for every League member, knows Batman works alone, keeps secrets, has access to technology and resources for demon summoning if motivation existed. The Slayer pulled up a tactical projection. Within 72 hours, evidence will surface suggesting Batman summoned demons. Will be compelling. Will be designed to exploit existing League tensions. I would never, Superman started. I know, Batman interrupted. But the evidence won't care. And if it's as sophisticated as the Luthor frame, even I might have trouble proving my innocence. He looked at the Slayer. What's your play? When the evidence surfaces and everyone's looking at me as the demon summoner, what do you do? The Doomslayer was silent for 3 seconds that felt like hours. Then, investigate, verify, determine truth independent of evidence. Have seen too many frames to trust surface-level data. If you're innocent, we'll prove it. If you're guilty, his weapons activated slightly, will eliminate threat, regardless of previous cooperation. Fair enough, Batman said, which surprised everyone except the Slayer. I'd expect nothing less. But we need to be proactive. Waiting for Darkseid to make his next move gives him advantage. We should... The alarm systems erupted. Cyborg's interface with the Watchtower went haywire, data streaming faster than his processors could analyze. There's demonic manifestations. Everywhere. Simultaneously. Every major city on Earth. Power signatures off the charts. This isn't an invasion. This is apocalypse. Constantine's voice came through, slurred with alcohol and terror. This is hell's full-scale apocalypse, the kind that ends civilizations. Slayer, you seeing this? The Doomslayer's display showed Earth's surface painted red with demonic signatures. Thousands of manifestations, all activating simultaneously, coordinated with precision that suggested months of preparation. Coordinated assault, hell and apocalypse working together. Darkseid provided cover while demons infiltrated. Now both strike simultaneously. Can we stop it? Flash asked, voice tight with fear. Unknown. Demon count exceeds League capacity by factor of 50. Even with my intervention, cannot eliminate all manifestations before corruption spreads. The Slayer's tactical analysis ran possibilities, each one showing catastrophic casualty projections. Need force multiplier. I need something that changes battlefield dynamics. The US military could, Wonder Woman started. Conventional military useless against demons. Magic weapons required. Blessed ammunition. Divine intervention. The Slayer paused. Or nuclear option. Superman's eyes widened. You're not suggesting actual nuclear weapons? No. Suggesting metaphorical nuclear option. Something that changes entire conflict paradigm. The Slayer turned to Dr. Fate, who'd been silent until now, golden helmet glowing with contemplation. Lord of Order. Question. Can you amplify my Argent energy distribution across planetary scale? Allow me to project demon-killing capability globally instead of locally. Dr. Fate's layered voice responded with careful consideration. Theoretically possible. Would require channeling orders power through your armor, using you as focal point for worldwide purification. But the strain on your systems would be catastrophic. The Praetor suit might not survive. You might not survive. Acceptable risk. What's required? The Helmet of Fate would need to directly interface with your neural systems. You would need to open yourself to Order's influence, permit divine power to flow through you. For someone who rejects external authority, this is... Fate paused. This is asking you to surrender control. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The Doomslayer, who'd refused God recruitment, rejected power rings, maintained absolute autonomy for eons, was being asked to voluntarily submit to external control in exchange for saving Earth. Batman watched the Slayer's body language, looking for tells or for any indication of what decision was being calculated behind that helmet. There has to be another way. We can coordinate strikes, use magical users for force multiplication, call in every hero on the planet. Casualties projected at 47 million in first hour, 80 million by hour 6. By day's end, 17% of human population dead or corrupted beyond recovery. The Slayer's voice was flat, emotionless, delivering mathematics without mercy. Your way saves some. Fate's way saves all. Simple calculus. But you'd be giving up everything you are, Superman said. Your independence, your autonomy. What if Order decides to keep you, use you permanently? Then I become Order's weapon instead of my own. Still killing demons, still protecting humanity, means justify outcome. The Slayer approached Dr. Fate. But negotiate terms first. We'll submit to Order temporarily. Duration, planetary purification only. Afterward, helmet releases control. No permanent binding, no continued service. Agreement? Dr. Fate's helmet glowed brighter, Nabu's ancient intelligence processing the request. Such terms are unusual. Order typically requires longer service. But these circumstances are equally unusual. I will petition the Lords of Order. Kent Nelson advocates strongly for your autonomy. He knows what it means to share consciousness with divine power. A pause. Then Fate continued, voice shifting to include Kent Nelson's more human tones. The Slayer's right. We need this. I'll argue for temporary binding. Nabu's not happy about it, but even he recognizes desperate times. You give me 60 seconds. The watchtower fell silent except for alarms screaming about global demonic manifestation. On Earth, heroes were mobilizing, magical defenses activating, but everyone with tactical sense knew it wasn't enough. The numbers didn't work. Hell had won through sheer overwhelming force. Unless one weapon, amplified by Order itself, could eliminate all demons simultaneously. Dr. Fate's helmet pulsed with light. Divine negotiations occurring at speeds mortal minds couldn't process. Finally, agreement reached. Temporary binding only. Duration, until planetary purification complete. Nabu insists on one condition. If you're compromised by demonic corruption during the process, Order retains right to permanent binding for containment purposes. Acceptable. Begin immediately. Wait. Wonder Woman stepped forward. See, we should discuss this. There might be... No time, the Slayer interrupted, already moving toward Dr. Fate. Demons spread exponentially. Every second of discussion costs lives. Begin now. Dr. Fate raised his hands, golden energy building around them, and spoke words in languages that predated human speech. The Doomslayer stood perfectly still, weapons deactivating, armor opening interface ports that should have been sealed, making himself vulnerable in ways he hadn't permitted since before the Praetor suit's integration. The golden light of Order met the green light of Argent energy, and the resulting fusion made reality scream. Batman's sensors went haywire. The power output was astronomical. Fusion of divine authority and demonic energy turned weapon, creating something that shouldn't exist. See, the Doomslayer's armor blazed with light that was simultaneously gold and green, order and chaos, somehow coexisting in single form. When the Slayer's helmet turned, his eyes glowed with power that made even Superman step back. Connection established. Can feel Order's structure, its absolute commitment to balance, its desire for cosmic harmony. His voice carried dual tones now, his own grinding delivery underneath Nabu's divine resonance. Also feel my own rage, my own mission, unchanged but amplified. We are unified in purpose if not philosophy. Can you reach the demons? Batman asked, professional even in the face of something approaching godhood. The Slayer's sensors, now enhanced by Order's omniscience, swept across Earth. See them, all of them. Every manifestation, every possessed host, every corrupted soul. And also see. His voice shifted, carrying surprise. See Darkseid's agents among them. Human operatives with apocalypse technology, directing demons, coordinating assault. The frame job goes deeper. Earth's government's compromised. Military leadership corrupted. This isn't just demon invasion. This is takeover. Cyborg interfaced with the Slayer's enhanced sensors, accessing data that made his optical systems flicker. He's right. I'm detecting apocalypse technology signatures in government facilities worldwide. They've been infiltrating for months. The demon summoning was their cover, making us look at hell while they embedded themselves in human power structures. Then we purge both, the Doomslayer said, power building around his armor like a star-going nova. Demons and Darkseid's agents, everyone who threatens humanity, on all at once. That's thousands of people, Superman protested. Some might be mind-controlled, coerced, blackmailed. We can't just kill them all. Order distinguishes willing corruption from coercion, can see souls, measure choice, determine who serves apocalypse voluntarily versus involuntarily. The Slayer's eyes blazed brighter. We'll eliminate willing collaborators. We'll spare coerced individuals. Precision purge, not genocide. Wonder Woman's hand tightened on her lasso. And who decides where that line is? You? Order? How do we know you're not becoming the very thing you fight? The question hung in the air, and for 3 seconds the Doomslayer stood motionless, divine power and ancient rage warring within armored form. When he spoke, his voice carried weight that bent reality. You don't. You trust or you don't. But decide now, because I'm initiating purge in 30 seconds regardless of approval. Batman stepped forward, cape spreading, facing down a being that currently radiated more power than anyone in the room. Not without oversight. Cyborg, interface with his targeting systems. Verify his targeting criteria. Wonder Woman, Use your lasso to confirm he's still himself, not corrupted by either Order or Argent energy. Superman, if he goes rogue, you stop him. Whatever it takes. The Slayer tilted his helmet, studying Batman with eyes that saw through dimensions. Contingency plan already active. Knew you'd have one. Respect the paranoia? He extended an arm toward Cyborg. Interface granted. Zatanna, Constantine. Coordinate magical defenses to contain collateral damage. Flash. Evacuation protocols for any civilians in purge zones. On Aquaman, coastal manifestations spreading through oceans. Need underwater combat support. He was still organizing them, still commanding even while channeling divine power, and somehow that made it less terrifying. The Doomslayer enhanced by Order was still the Doomslayer. Mission-focused, tactically brilliant, absolutely dedicated to protecting humanity. Wonder Woman's lasso wrapped around his extended arm, golden truth magic meeting golden order magic, and her eyes widened. He's still himself, completely. Order's power flows through him but doesn't control him. He's using divine power as weapon, not being used as divine weapon. That shouldn't be possible. Spent eons refusing to be controlled, not starting now. The Slayer's power built toward critical threshold. Nabu's frustrated, wants more influence. But agreement was temporary binding, not possession. He honors terms or connection breaks. Understand, Lord of Order? Dr. Fate's voice responded, carrying Nabu's grudging respect. Understood. You are remarkably strong-willed. Proceed with Purge. Order will support but not command. The Doomslayer rose into the air, armor blazing with light that could be seen from Earth's surface, and spread his arms. Energy built around him, divine and demonic in perfect, terrible fusion, and when he spoke his voice carried across every comm channel, every magical frequency, every dimensional barrier. Demons of hell, agents of apocalypse, you threatened Earth, corrupted humanity, violated sovereign world. This is response. Then he released everything. The purge was visible from space. A golden green energy erupted from the Doomslayer like a supernova, spreading across Earth's surface in waves that specifically targeted demonic essence and willing apocalypse collaborators. On the ground, demons simply ceased to exist, not banished, not destroyed, but erased from reality with precision that left possessed hosts alive and uncorrupted. Darkseid's human agents who'd served voluntarily collapsed, their neural patterns rewritten to eliminate corruption while preserving essential personality. It was the most precise application of overwhelming force anyone had witnessed. Genocide and salvation, occurring simultaneously, sorted at the individual level by technology and divinity working in concert. And through it all, the Doomslayer remained himself, not a vessel for Order's will, but a weapon wielding Order's power according to his own mission parameters. When the purge completed, when the last demon signature vanished, and the last corrupted agent fell unconscious for deprogramming, the Slayer descended back to the Watchtower. The golden light faded, Order's power receding, and Dr. Fate's connection broke. The Doomslayer staggered, armor smoking, power reserves depleted, and Batman caught him before he collapsed. "Did it work?" the Slayer asked, voice returning to normal grinding monotone. "Global demon signatures eliminated," Cyborg reported, voice carrying awe. "Apocalypse agents neutralized. Possessed hosts freed. Casualties from the purge itself, 0. You saved everyone." "Good." The Slayer's helmet tilted back, looking at ceiling. "Nabu's angry, wanted to keep control. But agreement was temporary. He honored terms. Respect that." Dr. Fate approached, Kent Nelson's more human voice dominating. "You wielded Order's power without being consumed by it. That's never happened. Nabu's confused and impressed in equal measure. He wants to know how." Simple. Have stronger will than divine authority. Eons of refusing corruption from hell taught absolute autonomy. Order's influence is just another form of control. Rejected it like I rejected everything else. The Slayer pushed himself upright, armor systems rebooting. "But thank Nabu for cooperation. Couldn't have saved Earth without his power." "He says you're welcome, and that you're terrifying." Accurate assessment. Superman floated forward, expression complicated. You just eliminated thousands of demons and corrupted humans across the entire planet, in with precision that spared every innocent person, using power that should have consumed you. I don't know whether to be grateful or horrified. Be both. I am. The Slayer's weapons reactivated, systems coming back online. But job's not done. Purge eliminated ground forces. Darkseid's still planning. And now I've demonstrated I can wield divine power without corruption. He'll escalate. Will try to eliminate me directly or corrupt what I can't purge. What could you not purge? Wonder Woman asked. The Doomslayer looked at her, then at each League member in turn, and his voice carried terrible certainty. You. Justice League operates on trust, free will, moral choice. Can't purge corruption that chooses itself willingly while appearing righteous. If Darkseid corrupts one of you, convinces you that serving Apocalypse serves greater good, my targeting can't distinguish genuine belief from demonic corruption. He paused. That's his next move. Turn one of you. Make me choose between mission and allies. The implications settled over them like a shroud. Darkseid's strategy was perfect. Identify the one thing the Doomslayer couldn't kill without violating his own mission parameters, then corrupt exactly that. And somewhere in Apocalypse, Darkseid smiled, Omega beams glowing in his eyes, already selecting which hero would serve his purposes best. The corruption came for Superman. It started subtly, so subtly that even Batman's paranoia didn't catch it at first. Clark became more assertive in League meetings, arguing for preemptive strikes against potential threats rather than reactive defense. He suggested establishing Justice League oversight of global governments, while ensuring world leaders couldn't summon demons or ally with Apocalypse without League knowledge. He proposed using his heat vision to permanently seal dimensional rifts, even if it meant destroying historical sites or displacing populations. All reasonable suggestions. All tactically sound. All completely unlike the hopeful, idealistic Superman who believed in humanity's capacity for self-governance. Batman noticed first, naturally. He'd been watching for exactly this kind of shift since the Doomslayer's warning. Clark, can we talk? Privately? The Fortress of Solitude's crystalline architecture reflected sunlight into patterns that would have been beautiful if Batman wasn't scanning for mind control technology, demonic possession, or apocalypse corruption. Superman stood before the massive computer system that housed Kryptonian knowledge, or arms crossed, radiating confidence that felt wrong. If this is about my proposal for global oversight, Bruce, save your breath. I've run the calculations. Humanity can't be trusted to police itself against dimensional threats. We've seen it repeatedly. Lex summoning demons, governments making deals with Apocalypse, ordinary people corrupted by hell. We need control. Control, Batman repeated, voice flat. You're talking about the Justice League becoming world government. You realize what that sounds like? It sounds like the Injustice timeline, Superman said calmly. I've thought about that. Analyzed where that Superman went wrong. His mistake wasn't taking control. It was doing it for the wrong reasons. Rage, grief, revenge. I'm proposing control for protection, methodical, rational. I'm based on data, showing humans repeatedly endanger themselves and others. Batman's cowl scanned Superman for the 5th time, finding nothing. No possession, no obvious corruption. Vitals normal, except for elevated confidence markers. Who have you been talking to, Clark? Does it matter? The logic stands regardless of source. Superman turned, and his eyes, still blue, still human, carried a certainty that made Batman's tactical mind scream warnings. The Doomslayer's right. He's been right all along. Mercy is luxury we can't afford when hell and apocalypse target Earth. We need absolute solutions. The Doomslayer never suggested controlling humanity. He controls demon threats with absolute authority. Why should human threats be different? Humans summon demons. Humans serve Darkseid. The vector is humanity's free will. Control the vector. I eliminate the problem. That wasn't Superman talking. That was something wearing Superman's logic, twisting his genuine concern for Earth into authoritarian philosophy. Batman's hand moved toward his utility belt, fingers closing around kryptonite that he'd hoped never to use. Clark, listen to yourself. You're talking about eliminating human free will because it's inconvenient. That's anti-life equation logic. That's Darkseid's philosophy. Superman's expression didn't change. Darkseid believes in control through subjugation. I'm proposing control through protection. Different motivations, different implementations. You're smart enough to understand the distinction, Bruce. And you're compromised enough to miss that there is no distinction. Batman pulled the kryptonite, green radiation making Superman wince. I'm sorry, Clark, but you're not yourself. And until we figure out what's wrong, you're staying here. Superman moved faster than Batman could track, disarming him with Kryptonian speed, crushing the kryptonite to powder. I'm more myself than I've ever been. Clear-headed, logical, finally seeing what needs to be done instead of hoping humanity will magically improve. He looked at Batman with something approaching pity. You're still hoping, Bruce. Still believing in redemption for Joker, second chances for villains, humanity's better nature. The Doomslayer abandoned hope eons ago. Maybe it's time we did too. Batman activated his emergency beacon. Signal transmitted directly to the Watchtower, code that meant, Superman compromised, need immediate intervention. The Doomslayer arrived via boom tube 30 seconds later, weapons active, aimed scanning Superman with technology designed to detect corruption at quantum levels. His analysis ran for 5 seconds, then, no demonic possession, no apocalypse mind control, no anti-life equation influence. Corruption is, he paused, helmet tilting. Philosophical, voluntary, he believes what he's saying. That's impossible, Batman said. Clark doesn't believe in authoritarian control. He's the most idealistic person I know. Was idealistic. People change, especially when exposed to logical arguments that exploit existing doubts. The Slayer's display showed Superman's recent communications history, conversations with someone whose identity was encrypted. He's been talking to Entity using Apocalypse encryption protocols, Darkseid or his agents. They convinced him. Didn't corrupt his mind. I corrupted his philosophy. Superman looked at the Doomslayer with something approaching respect. You understand. You've seen humanity's failures across dimensions. You know hope is liability. Why are you still pretending it matters? Because hope isn't for me. Hope is for them. The Slayer gestured toward Earth, visible through the fortress's transparent walls. I abandoned hope because I needed absolute clarity to fight demons. But humanity needs hope to remain human. Take that away, they become the things we fight. Different forms, same corruption. Poetic, wrong. Superman's posture shifted, combat-ready despite no visible aggression. Humanity with hope summons demons hoping to control them. Humanity with hope makes deals with Darkseid hoping to profit. Hope is the vector. Eliminate hope. Eliminate the vector. Eliminate hope, or eliminate humanity's reason to exist. The Doomslayer's weapons remained active but didn't target Superman. This is Darkseid's plan. Corrupt Superman's idealism into tyranny. Make Earth's greatest symbol of hope become symbol of oppression. Then I have to choose. Kill Superman to protect humanity's free will, or let him implement control that slowly transforms humans into apocalypse light. Batman's tactical mind raced through scenarios, each one worse than the last. We can reverse this. Psychological deprogramming, exposure to people he saved, reminding him why he chose hope in the first place. Those aren't deprogramming techniques for mind control, Bruce. Those are rehabilitation methods for someone who genuinely changed their mind. Superman's voice was calm, rational, terrifying in its certainty. I haven't been corrupted. I've been convinced. There's a difference. And conviction based on evidence can't be undone by emotional appeals. The Doomslayer stepped between them, armor systems analyzing options, calculating outcomes, running through scenarios he'd witnessed in other dimensions. Seen this before. Dimension 234-Delta. World's greatest hero convinced that control was mercy. Implemented benevolent tyranny. Within decade, resistance movements, civil wars, civilization collapse. Dimension 6, 6 to 7. Theta. Similar scenario. Heroes' control prevented immediate threats but eliminated humanity's capacity for growth. Civilization stagnated, eventually fell to threats Hero couldn't predict because controlled populations don't innovate. I've studied your dimensional records, Superman said. Those heroes made mistakes in implementation. I won't. I have Kryptonian technology, Justice League resources, and the experience to avoid their errors. You have hubris, same as them, same as every tyrant who thought they could control better than the ones before. The Slayer's voice carried eons of exhaustion. Superman, Clark Kent, your good man corrupted by logical argument. Darkseid didn't break your mind. He appealed to your genuine desire to protect Earth, twisted it into control mechanisms that feel righteous. This is his specialty. If you believe I'm corrupted, why haven't you killed me? Superman's eyes glowed faintly with heat vision, not threatening, but demonstrating readiness. Your mission is eliminate threats to humanity. I'm proposing control of humanity. By your parameters, I'm threat. The Doomslayer was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, when his voice carried something Batman had never heard before, uncertainty. Your threat. Also savior, saved millions. Will save millions more. Killing you eliminates both threat and protector. Math doesn't work. No clean solution. Then you're compromised too, Superman said. Your absolute mission meets exception. You hesitate because I'm ally. That's the weakness Darkseid's exploiting. He's proving that your mission has cracks. Batman watched the confrontation escalate, mind racing through contingencies, knowing that if Superman and the Doomslayer fought in the fortress, the collateral damage would be catastrophic. Both of you, stand down. Clark, you're right that the Slayer's mission has exceptions, but that's not weakness. That's humanity. Absolute missions without exceptions are anti-life equation logic. Slayer, you're right that Clark's been philosophically corrupted, but killing him isn't the answer. Then what is? The Slayer asked, and the genuine question in his voice suggested he didn't know, perhaps the first time since arriving on Earth that he'd encountered a problem without clear solution. The fortress's alarms erupted, multiple boom tubes opening, not demon manifestations but apocalypse technology, depositing figures across the crystalline landscape. Darkseid's furies again, but this time accompanied by Darkseid himself, the Lord of Apocalypse manifesting in physical form that made reality groan under his presence. Impressive, Darkseid's voice resonated through dimensions. The Doomslayer who threatens gods, finally finding a problem he cannot solve through violence. Superman of Earth corrupted not through force but through logic. When Batman, ever the detective, watching his world fracture because his contingencies fail against philosophical corruption rather than mind control. The Doomslayer's weapons targeted Darkseid immediately, but the new god simply smiled. Your weapons cannot harm me here, Slayer. This is avatar projection, not true presence. Destroy this form? I simply manifest another. You know this. You've fought new gods before. Then why appear? Batman demanded. Batarangs ready despite knowing they'd be useless. To offer choice. Darkseid's eyes blazed red. Omega effect building. Superman, you believe in control for protection. I offer you the anti-life equation. Mathematical proof that free will is illusion. That control is the only truth. Take it, implement it. Save humanity from itself. No, the Doomslayer said flatly. My anti-life equation is corruption. Superman rejects it or I eliminate him. No third option. There is third option, Darkseid countered. Superman takes equation, uses it to control Earth, prevents all demon summoning, all dimensional threats, all chaos. Earth becomes perfectly ordered. And you, Slayer, must accept that outcome because killing Superman means Earth loses protector you cannot replace. Superman looked at Darkseid, then at the Doomslayer, and for a moment his expression flickered. Doubt, uncertainty, the old Clark Kent fighting against the new philosophical conviction. The equation would let me protect everyone, prevent all suffering. Isn't that worth the cost of free will? No, Batman and the Doomslayer said simultaneously. The Slayer continued. Free will is what makes humanity worth protecting. Remove it. Or they become machines, ordered, safe, empty. Not worth the eons I've spent fighting for them. But you abandoned hope, Superman protested. You said emotions are liability. How is free will different? I abandoned my hope, not theirs. I became weapons so they could remain human. Free will, hope, choice. Those are what separate humanity from demons and dark-side slaves. Take those away, nothing left worth saving. Darkseid's smile widened. Then you admit your mission has failed. Superman will take the equation with or without your approval. Stop him, you doom Earth. Accept him, you permit tyranny. Choose, demon killer. Choose which principle you'll betray. The Doomslayer looked at Superman, powerful, corrupted, genuine in his conviction that control served protection. Looked at Darkseid, ancient evil, patient manipulator, architect of this impossible choice. Looked at Batman, human genius, desperate for solution, out of contingencies. Then he did something none of them expected. He removed his helmet. The scarred face beneath was younger than his voice suggested, eyes carrying eons of exhaustion, but expression determined. My name was William Blazkowicz. Before armor, before mission, before I became the Doomslayer, was soldier, had family, had world. Demons killed everything, made choice, become weapons strong enough to prevent other worlds from burning. He looked directly at Superman, gave up hope, gave up connections, gave up everything except mission. Know exactly what you're proposing, Clark. Lived it for eons. He stepped closer to Superman, weaponless, vulnerable in ways he hadn't been since arriving on Earth. Also no cost. I became so focused on mission that forgot why mission mattered. Killed so many demons that almost forgot humans are worth protecting, not despite their flaws, but because of them. Free will means they summon demons sometimes. Also means they choose heroism. Hope means they make mistakes. Also means they keep trying. So you're asking me to accept humanity's flaws? Superman's voice carried genuine confusion. To let them keep endangering themselves? Asking you to remember why you chose symbol of hope instead of symbol of control. Could have conquered Earth years ago. Kryptonian power, alien technology would have been easy. But you chose to inspire instead of rule. Why? Superman was silent, the question cutting through corrupted philosophy to something deeper. When he spoke, his voice was quieter. Because Smallville taught me that humanity's worth protecting not because they're perfect, but because they try. Martha and Jonathan could have feared me, controlled me, but they trusted me to choose right. Trusted that free will, even alien free will, was better than forced obedience. And that trust made you hero instead of conqueror. The Doomslayer extended his hand. Darkseid's lying. Control doesn't protect. It preserves while preventing growth. Real protection means accepting risk that those you protect might choose poorly. Trusting them anyway. That's hope. That's why you're Superman. For 5 seconds, Superman stood frozen, Darkseid's logical corruption warring with the foundational principles that had defined him since childhood. Then, slowly, his hand extended to meet the Slayers. You're right, God. You're right. I was so focused on preventing threats that I forgot. Clark's expression crumbled, genuine horror crossing his features as he realized how close he'd come to betraying everything. I almost took the equation. Almost became the very thing I fight against. But you didn't. The Doomslayer's grip was firm, human despite the armor. Resisted corruption through choice. That's what makes you hero. That's what makes humanity worth eons of fighting. Darkseid's expression darkened, Omega effect blazing. You dare reject my gift? Reject perfect order for chaos and suffering? Yes, Superman said, and his voice carried the old conviction, the hope that had defined him. Because chaos with choice is better than order without it. Because suffering with meaning is better than contentment without purpose. Because I'm Superman, and I choose hope. The Omega beams fired. The Doomslayer moved, armored form intercepting energy designed to erase Superman from existence. The beams struck his chest, and the Praetor suit system screamed warnings as Omega Effect attempted to unmake him at quantum level. But the Slayer had fought new gods before, had developed countermeasures for god-killing energy. His armor channeled the Omega beams through Argent energy matrices, converting erasure into power. feeding Darkseid's attack into the same systems that absorbed demon deaths. Omega beams analyzed. Impressive. Insufficient. The Doomslayer's armor blazed with stolen Omega energy. Your move, Darkseid. Escalate or retreat. For the first time, genuine surprise crossed the new god's face. You absorbed Omega effect? Impossible. That energy should have erased you from... The Slayer fired the BFG 9000, weapon now charged with combination of Argent energy and stolen Omega effect. The blast struck Darkseid's avatar, and the Lord of Apocalypse actually stumbled, his projection destabilizing. Not impossible, just very difficult. Spent 3 decades in Dimension 4, 4-5 Gamma, perfecting anti-divine countermeasures. Your Omega beams are predictable variant of God-killing energy. Had countermeasures ready. The Slayer advanced, Crucible igniting. This avatar dies. Send another, it dies too. Keep sending them, I'll keep killing them. Eventually you run out of avatars or I reach Apocalypse directly. Choose outcome, Tyrant. Darkseid's avatar flickered, projection failing as the BFG's energy consumed it. But before it dissipated entirely, the new god's voice resonated one final promise. You've made powerful enemy today, Doomslayer. I will return. And when I do, it won't be with avatars and manipulation. It will be with full force of Apocalypse. Prepare for war. Then he was gone, boom tubes collapsing, Furies retreating, leaving the 3 of them standing in Superman's fortress surrounded by crystalline architecture damaged by divine combat. Superman looked at the Doomslayer, at William Blazkowicz, with new understanding. You saved me. Took an Omega beam meant for me. Why? Your mission is protect humanity, not individual heroes. Your symbols matter. Humanity needs Hope's symbol more than it needs one more demon killer. The Slayer's armor was smoking, systems damaged from absorbing Omega effect. Also, liked you. Reminded me why mission matters. Worth protecting. You said friendship was liability, Batman observed. It is. Doesn't mean I don't feel it. Just means I don't act on it. The Slayer put his helmet back on, becoming the faceless warrior again. But today felt like acceptable exception. Superman smiled, the first genuine smile in days. Thank you, William. Call me Slayer. William died eons ago, but... He paused. Appreciate the gesture. The 3 of them stood in the fortress, heroes and weapon made sentient, knowing that Darkseid would return, that Hell would continue plotting, that Earth's dangers were far from over. But today, they'd won something more important than tactical victory. They'd proven that even absolute missions could bend without breaking, that Hope could survive logical corruption, and that the Doomslayer, the warrior who'd abandoned everything except killing demons, could still remember why humanity was worth the eons of fighting. In Apocalypse, Darkseid sat on his throne, Omega effect eyes blazing with rage. The Doomslayer had defied him, corrupted Superman back to heroism, absorbed Omega beams, and threatened direct invasion. Desaad, Darkseid's voice shook the throne room. Prepare the Paradaman forges. Activate the Omega-class dreadnoughts. Recall all forces from conquered worlds. We're going to war, and this time Earth burns. The War Council assembled in the Watchtower 3 days after Superman's near corruption. Every available hero crowded into the command center that had never been designed to hold this many people. The Justice League stood at the center. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, on Green Lantern, Aquaman, Cyborg. Surrounding them, Justice League. Dark with Constantine chain-smoking despite regulations. Zatanna reviewing spell matrices. Dr. Fate's golden helmet glowing with contemplation. The Teen Titans occupied one corner, Robin coordinating with Cyborg on tactical networks, while Raven's dark energy flickered with barely contained anxiety. Even the Suicide Squad was present via encrypted video link, Amanda Waller's stone face making clear she was participating under protest. And standing apart from everyone, the Doomslayer analyzed holographic displays showing Apocalypse fleet movements detected by Green Lantern reconnaissance. Darkseid's mobilizing everything, Hal Jordan reported, his ring projecting real-time sensor data. Omega-class dreadnoughts, parademon carrier groups, boom tube generators big enough to transport entire armies. The Guardians estimate he's bringing 40% of Apocalypse's total military capacity. This isn't an invasion. It's an extinction event. How long until they arrive? Batman asked, already running defensive calculations that didn't look promising. 72 hours, Cyborg said, interfaces with global defense networks showing preparation status. I've coordinated with world governments to evacuate major cities, establish civilian shelters, distribute anti-apocalypse weaponry we've reverse-engineered from previous encounters. But Bruce, even with every nation's military, every superhero team, every magical defense, the math doesn't work. We're looking at 10-to-1 odds, minimum. The room fell silent as the impossible arithmetic settled over them. Our apocalypse had conquered hundreds of worlds. Earth had repelled smaller incursions through luck, heroism, and strategic brilliance. But a full-scale assault from 40% of Darkseid's forces? We need allies, Wonder Woman said, voice carrying Amazonian authority. New Genesis has fought Apocalypse for eons. If Highfather would commit his forces— Already contacted, the Doomslayer interrupted, pulling up his own communication logs. Highfather's sympathetic, but refuses military intervention. New Genesis and Apocalypse maintain cosmic balance. Direct warfare risks multiversal consequences. Offered asylum for Earth's population if we lose. Declined. Superman's jaw tightened. They'd let Earth burn to maintain balance? They'd preserve humanity while sacrificing Earth. Different calculus. The Slayer highlighted other entries. Also contacted Green Lantern Corps Central Command. Guardians deploying Honor Guard, 20 lanterns maximum. Appreciate support but insufficient for changing battlefield dynamics. Contacted Red Lantern Corps. Atrocitus, committing full force. Hatred of Darkseid outweighs protocol. Helpful, but still insufficient. Who else can we call? Flash asked, voice tight with barely contained panic. The Titans of Myth? The Endless? God? The Presence doesn't intervene in mortal conflicts, Dr. Fate said, Nabu's divine tones resonating. The Endless observe but rarely act. And the Titans— He paused. Actually, that's not a terrible idea. Wonder Woman, could you petition Olympus for direct intervention? Diana's expression was conflicted. The gods haven't directly fought wars on Earth's behalf in millennia. Zeus might listen, but he'd demand tribute, servitude, acknowledgement of divine supremacy. We'd be trading Darkseid's tyranny for Olympian control. Unacceptable, Batman said flatly. Agreed, the Doomslayer added. No gods, no cosmic entities, no trades that compromise Earth's sovereignty. We fight with what we have, or we don't deserve to survive. Constantine laughed, the sound slightly manic. Right, so we're all going to die heroically defending a planet against impossible odds. Grand. Anyone else need a drink before the apocalypse? Because I'm starting early. We're not dying, Superman said, floating upward slightly, cape spreading, embodying the hope that had nearly been corrupted 3 days ago. We've faced impossible odds before. We've survived through courage, strategy, and working together. This is no different. This is completely different, mate, Constantine countered. Darkseid's not sending scouts or testing defenses. He's bringing genocide. And unless the Slayer here has some secret weapon he's been hiding. Everyone turned to look at the Doomslayer. The warrior stood silently for a long moment. Then, have weapon. BFG 10,000. Prototype. Never field tested because power requirements exceed any portable system's capacity. Requires planet-scale energy grid to fire. Single shot could eliminate Apocalypse fleet in targeted radius. Hope sparked across faces. Then we use it, Flash said. Hook it into Earth's power grid, charge it up, blast Darkseid's fleet before they reach us. Not that simple. The Slayer pulled up schematics that made even Cyborg whistle in appreciation and horror. WFG 10,000 requires continuous energy draw equivalent to Earth's total power generation for 6 hours. Means global blackout during charging. Hospitals, life support, communication networks, everything offline. Casualties from infrastructure failure. Estimated 30 million. The hope died as quickly as it had sparked. 30 million dead to maybe win the battle, Batman said quietly. That's not acceptable. Also not guaranteed victory, the Slayer continued. Darkseid could deploy countermeasures, could sacrifice portion of fleet to absorb shot, then attack with remainder, could target Earth's population centers while weapon charges, forcing us to choose between completing firing sequence or defending civilians. Wonder Woman's hand rested on her sword. So the superweapon is suicide option. Hot last resort when we've already lost. Correct. The Slayer closed the schematics. Which is why real strategy is different. Don't fight Darkseid's fleet at Earth. Fight it between here and Apocalypse. Force engagement in space where civilian casualties are zero, and we can use tactics impossible in atmosphere. They'll just ignore us and boom tube directly to Earth, Green Lantern pointed out. Not if boom tube network is disrupted. The Slayer pulled up new tactical display showing Apocalypse infrastructure. Boom tubes require relay stations, dimensional anchors, quantum entanglement with destination coordinates. Destroy anchors, boom tubes become unstable. Force Darkseid to approach through conventional space, giving us battlefield control. Batman leaned forward, studying the display with tactical genius, recognizing brilliant strategy. You want to assault Apocalypse, destroy their boom tube infrastructure while their fleet is in transit. Turn their invasion force into stranded armada. Yes, small strike team, maximum stealth. Infiltrate Apocalypse, sabotage relay network, exfiltrate before Darkseid realizes what happened. Fleet arrives at Earth, tries to boom tube in reinforcements, network fails. Fight fleet in space with Earth's full defensive capacity plus whatever allies we can muster. That's suicide, Aquaman said, but his tone suggested respect rather than dismissal. Apocalypse is Darkseid's home territory. It'll be defended by elite forces, automated defenses, the works. The strike team would need to fight through fire pits and torture chambers to reach infrastructure deep in the planet's core. The Doomslayer's helmet turned toward Aquaman. Yes, or which is why I'm going alone. Absolutely not, Superman said immediately. We don't send anyone on suicide missions, especially not alone. Not suicide. High-risk infiltration. The Slayer pulled up his armor's specifications. Praetor suit designed for exactly this scenario. Stealth systems reverse-engineered from Apocalypse technology, captured during previous encounters. Can mimic Parademon energy signatures, fool automated defenses, navigate Apocalypse infrastructure. Success probability, 63%. 63% chance of success means 37% chance of death or capture, Batman calculated. And if you're captured, Darkseid tortures you for information, learns Earth's defensive plans, and we lose our best demon killer. If captured, we'll self-destruct. Armor includes antimatter failsafe. It eliminates me and creates crater visible from space. Darkseid gets no information. The casual delivery of his own death as acceptable outcome made even hardened heroes uncomfortable. Constantine lit another cigarette, hands not quite steady. You've got this all planned out, haven't you? Die alone on Apocalypse while we fight desperate last stand on Earth. Very heroic, also very stupid. You said yourself that friendship is liability, but sometimes acceptable exception. Let us help, you daft bastard. Help how? Most League members can't survive Apocalypse environment. Heat, radiation, gravitational stress would kill normal humans in minutes. Kryptonians are vulnerable to controlled environments. Darkseid has red sun generators. Magic users would be detected immediately by DSOD's torture sensors. Only members who could assist are Wonder Woman, Divine Heritage provides environmental resistance, and maybe Green Lantern with ring protection. Diana stepped forward immediately. Then I'm going with you. Amazon warriors don't let allies fight alone. And I'm in, Hal said, ring glowing. Lanterns specialize in impossible odds. Besides, someone needs to watch your back when the stealth approach inevitably fails and you have to shoot your way out. The Doomslayer studied them both, tactical assessment running. After a moment. Wonder Woman, acceptable. Combat skills sufficient, divine resilience useful, warrior mentality compatible with mission parameters. Green Lantern, acceptable with reservations. Ring power useful, but emotional spectrum makes you detectable to Apocalypse sensors. will require constant discipline to minimize signature. I can handle discipline, Hal said, though his expression suggested he knew this would be the hardest mission of his career. Batman moved to the tactical display, already refining the strategy. While you three infiltrate Apokolips, the rest of us prepare Earth's defenses. Cyborg coordinates global military networks. Constantine and Zatanna establish magical wards around population centers. Flash evacuates civilians from projected landing zones. Aquaman secures coastal regions against aquatic assault. Darkseid's used ocean invasion tactics before. Superman and I coordinate overall defense with government leadership. What about us? Robin asked, Teen Titans gathering around him. We're not sitting this out. You're evacuating civilians, Batman said firmly. Oh, every hero not fighting on the front line needs to be saving lives. That's how we win this. Not just by defeating Darkseid's forces, but by ensuring humanity survives regardless of battlefield outcome. The Doomslayer watched the coordination, the rapid tactical planning, the heroes organizing into defensive networks with practiced efficiency. This was why Earth survived despite being targeted by cosmic threats. Not because its heroes were most powerful, they weren't. But because they worked together, because they refused to accept defeat, because they chose hope even when mathematics suggested despair. One more thing, the Slayer said, pulling up a communication protocol. If infiltration fails, if BoomTube network isn't sabotaged before fleet arrives, implement BFG 10,000 contingency. We'll transmit activation codes to Batman and Cyborg. 30 million casualties are unacceptable in normal circumstances. But 30 million versus 8 billion is acceptable mathematics when no alternatives remain. Superman's expression was pained. You're asking us to kill 30 million people. Asking you to make impossible choice so I don't have to. Leadership means accepting costs others can't bear. You're leaders. I'm weapon. Weapons don't make political decisions. The Slayer's tone softened microscopically. But also trust you'll only fire if truly necessary. Trust you'll exhaust every alternative first. That's why you're heroes, and I'm just soldier who forgot how to stop fighting. The self-awareness in that statement, the recognition of what he'd become and what he'd lost, made the moment heavier. Constantine raised his flask in something approaching salute. To the Doomslayer, I'm the mad bastard who fights gods and saves worlds while insisting he's just following orders from a mission that only exists in his head. May we all be so wonderfully broken. Not toast, the Slayer said. Tactical briefing. Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. Meet in Hangar Bay in 30 minutes. We'll review Apokolips infrastructure maps, identify primary and secondary targets, establish communication protocols and extraction contingencies. Departure in 60 minutes. Questions? Yeah, Flash said, voice carrying genuine concern. If this works, if you sabotage Apokolips and we defeat the fleet, what happens next? Darkseid's not going to just give up. He'll keep coming until Earth's destroyed or you're dead. The Doomslayer was silent for a moment, helmet tilted as though contemplating futures stretching across eons. If we win here, I take the fight to Apokolips permanently. Hunt Darkseid across dimensions. Eliminate his infrastructure, his resources, his capacity to threaten Earth. Become his demon instead of Hell's. Keep him so busy defending himself that he can't attack others. That's exile, Superman said softly. You're talking about leaving Earth forever. Talking about protecting Earth by eliminating threats at their source. Same mission, different battlefield. The Slayer looked at each of them. Earth doesn't need me here. Has Justice League, magical defenders, human courage? What Earth needs is Darkseid distracted, weakened, too busy surviving to threaten anyone. I can provide that. Batman's expression was unreadable behind the cowl. You'd hunt a new god across dimensions, alone, for however long it takes. Did it before with demons, so it will do it again with gods. Mission adapts, purpose remains. The Slayer turned toward the hangar. 30 minutes. Come prepared for war that might not end. He left the command center, leaving behind heroes who'd just realized that victory against Darkseid might mean losing Earth's most effective demon killer to an eternal hunt across realities. Wonder Woman looked at Superman, Batman, and the assembled League. He's planning to sacrifice everything. Again. Just like he did eons ago when demons killed his world. Except this time he'll hunt Darkseid forever while we live free on Earth he'll never see again. That's what weapons do, Batman said quietly. They accept costs others can't bear, perform functions others can't stomach. And if we accept his sacrifice without question, we're using him the same way Darkseid uses his slaves. So what do we do? Constantine asked. Talk him out of his suicide by new god plan? Good luck with that. He's been planning his own noble death for eons. We're not changing that in 30 minutes. Superman floated upward, decision crystallizing in his expression. We don't change it. We prove we're worth it. We defend Earth so completely, so brilliantly, that when he leaves to hunt Darkseid, he goes knowing humanity doesn't need constant protection, that we've graduated from people he guards to allies who can stand on our own. And maybe, Wonder Woman added, we find a way to bring him back, eventually, after Darkseid's defeated and the hunt is over. Show him that weapons can retire, that soldiers can find peace, or that missions can end without death. Batman's fingers moved across his console, already updating defensive protocols, refining strategies, making sure that Earth's defense would be perfect. Then we have 72 hours to prepare for the war that decides everything. Move out. And make sure that when the Doomslayer looks back at Earth from whatever battlefield he ends up on, he sees a world worth the eons he spent fighting for it. The heroes dispersed, each moving to their assigned roles, knowing that the next 3 days would determine whether Earth survived as free world or fell to apocalypse tyranny. In the hangar, the Doomslayer prepared weapons that had killed gods, reviewed maps of apocalypse infrastructure, and contemplated the eternal hunt that awaited him after this battle. He'd fought for eons without rest, without hope, without anything except the mission. But these past days on Earth, working with heroes who refused to give up, protecting people who chose courage despite fear, standing with allies who'd become something approaching friends, had reminded him why the mission mattered. Not because demons needed killing or because Darkseid needed stopping, but because humanity, in all its flawed glory, was worth protecting. Even if that protection meant he'd never see Earth again. Even if it meant hunting alone across dimensions until Darkseid fell or reality ended. Even if it meant being the weapon one more time, forever, because someone had to. The Praetor suit's systems completed final checks, weapons loaded, armor reinforced, ready for war against a god. Wonder Woman and Green Lantern arrived, equipped for infiltration, their faces showing determination mixed with understanding of what this mission truly meant. Ready? The Doomslayer asked. Ready, Diana replied, hand on her sword. For apocalypse, for Earth, and for making sure you remember that weapons can choose to stop being weapons when the war is over. The Slayer looked at her, at Hal, at the heroes preparing to defend a world he'd grown to care about more than he'd intended. Then he activated the boom tube coordinates, gateway opening to Apocalypse's hellish landscape. Time to hunt a god. They stepped through together, 3 warriors against an empire, and on Earth, the Justice League prepared for the battle that would determine everything. The war for Earth's soul had begun, and the Doomslayer, William Blazkowicz, i.e. the man who'd become weapon to save his world, was finally going to end the threat he'd warned about since the day he arrived, or die trying. The Doomslayer's infiltration of Apocalypse succeeded beyond projections. 63% probability became certainty through warrior skill, Amazon courage, and Lantern willpower. The boom tube network collapsed in cascading failure, stranding Darkseid's fleet in deep space, where Earth's combined forces met them in battle that would be remembered for generations. Superman led the assault with renewed hope, Batman coordinated defenses with tactical genius, and every hero on Earth fought with the knowledge that failure meant extinction. The battle raged for 18 hours. The fleet was destroyed. Earth survived. But the Doomslayer kept his word. While Earth celebrated victory, Mahi disappeared through a boom tube to hunt Darkseid across dimensions, leaving behind only a message transmitted to the Watchtower. Mission continues elsewhere. Earth safe. Don't follow. This is my war now. Wonder Woman stood before the inactive boom tube coordinates, lasso glowing faintly in her hand. He left because he believes we don't need him anymore, because he proved we could stand on our own. He left because that's what weapons do when the war moves to a new battlefield. Batman corrected, though his voice carried something approaching sadness. But Diana's right. He gave us something more valuable than his protection. He gave us proof that Earth can survive cosmic threats without waiting for rescue. Superman looked at the stars where the Doomslayer hunted alone and made a quiet vow that someday, when Darkseid finally fell, on when the eternal hunt ended, they would find William Blaskovich and show him that warriors could have homes, that weapons could choose peace, and that missions could end in something other than death. Across dimensions, in the infinite war between Hell's demons and one unstoppable soldier, the Doomslayer added new gods to his list of threats requiring elimination. Darkseid's empire would learn what Hell had learned eons ago. There were forces in the multiverse that couldn't be corrupted, couldn't be stopped, couldn't be anything except what they'd chosen to become. And William Blaskovich had chosen to be humanity's eternal guardian, fighting in the shadows so others could live in the light, bearing the cost that heroes couldn't accept, remaining the weapon because someone had to. Earth would remember him. The Justice League would honor him. And somewhere in the DC Universe's vast mythology, a new legend would grow. The Doomslayer, the God-Killer who fought alone so others didn't have to. The warrior who sacrificed everything, including hope itself, to protect worlds he would never see again. The demons still feared him. The gods now joined that fear. And Earth slept safely, knowing that somewhere in the infinite dark, their most terrible defender hunted the monsters that hunted them.